Good morning, Nigeria. A brand new day is here, presenting fresh opportunities and breaking stories, inspiring conversations, and everything you need to get your morning started. Welcome to S24 Morning Digest. My name is Gloria Atta, and I will be your host for today. Over the next 3 hours, we'll be having insightful conversations, discussions, and everything you need to have your morning started. On behalf of everyone, of course, I'd like to apologize for starting behind schedule. Our newspaper review comes up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is S24 Morning Digest. And it's now time for us to dissect major stories making the front pages today, covering security, politics, governance, business, and international affairs. Everything you need, like I said, to get your morning started. And of course, I won't be doing this alone. I'll be joined by my colleague, Abubakar Turaki. Good morning, Abubakar.
Good morning, Madam Gloria.
Happy Friday to you.
Thank you so much. It's Friday. And
yes,
I'm so excited that it is Friday.
I am too. I can't wait to sleep and rest and just have a good time with friends and family. So let's quickly, before we start daydreaming, let's dissect today's national issues. And we're going to be starting with the Punch newspaper. The front page says, governorship poll, police lockdown Osun DIG, 30 CPs deployed. Now again, we're talking about Osun, and we have less than 24 hours to the much anticipated governorship poll.
Yeah, they have to, but they could have not done what they did in Osun State. And once they did in Osun State, they could have channeled that energy toward the fight against insurgency in our dear country, Nigeria. Let me start from the positive side of what the police did before coming to the negative side of what the police did. I think according to Yaga Africa,
yes,
Osun, they have recorded almost 35 deaths, 73 attacks within this period. So does that mean politics is now subjected to a war? Politics is now subjected to what we call do or die affair? Does that mean as long as you're not with the ruling party will find a way of destabilizing the peace and unity of your people until and unless you decamp and come to them? This is a threat to our own nascent democracy.
Yeah.
But these are all allegations that they have been alleging the ruling party of victimizing the members of the opposition. They are victimizing the presence of multi-party democracy that we have in Nigeria. And for as long as we are continue to silence the opposition, Nigerian democracy will never see good and positive results. Because the presence of opposition, that is when the government in power, they will come and be held responsible and accountable for whatever they are doing. Let me go back to the statistics from what I saw. Police were able to deploy at least helicopter, drone, and 15,000 police personnel.
What exactly are all these personnel expected to address? What major security issues are they expected to address while they're in Osun?
We don't know. Maybe they're just there to give surveillance, and maybe they're just there in order to give the verdict in favor of some people. And you see the massive deployment of security personnel when it comes to election started in Kano in 2019. And if care is not taken, what is going to happen in Osun election tomorrow is either they are going for a second round of election, whereby at the first election, the winner may not emerge, they have to go for the second round of election. Or at the end, INEC may likely declare Osun election as inconclusive. Then when they come back, they may likely do one or two things in order to give the verdict to some few individuals. But why are you deploying 15,000 security personnel there? And based on the statistics and data from INEC, 81% of registered voters in Osun State, they have collected their own permanent voters card, then definitely we are not going to have we are going to have massive voter turnout. That is to say, Osun people are ready to go out and elect their own leader that will represent them or that will rule them for the next 8 years in Osun State. But there is a third hand, an invisible hand, because federal government have deployed its own apparatus. INEC have deployed their own personnel. Opposition parties have also deployed their own personnel. Remember, the same southern western part of the country, Oyo State, a scenario happened there, but it took the federal government almost 56 days to 60 days before the federal government were able to at least rescue those people, those adopted children in school. I remember the federal government seems to forget, or they seems to have what we are calling them, or what I am calling it as selective amnesia. If something affects their own political interest, they will quickly rush and address it. But if something affected some part of the country, the federal government may likely not proactive and response measures that it is expected to take from them. I think maybe allegedly we are thinking just because the federal government have Maiduguri, because the running mate of the president is coming from Maiduguri, because they know that it is their son. Even the federal government neglected to rescue those children from Askira Uba that were adopted, they may likely find it anyhow to win Borno. Because Kashim Shettima is from Borno State.
Yes.
And how do you expect that Borno people to say that we are not going to elect their own son?
But what's the point of electing your own son if you're not...
If he cannot represent you?
Yes.
At least, I think maybe he's a bastard son.
Okay, Abubakar, let's just talk about Osun State. Now, how can security agencies ensure that voters do not get disenfranchised, because now they are restricting movement? So how do they now create that balance to ensure that people go out to, vote without having their fundamental human rights distorted in any form?
There are some people, they have to sacrifice today and tomorrow, because there have been an allegation that some members in Osun State carrying some regalia of one of the political parties, and they have been moving around the street with raffles. And whenever you see that you do not belong to them, they may likely victimize and even intimidate you. And the security have to put on third eye. They have to go on a massive surveillance 247 to ensure that the victimization and even disfranchising the people and even their own basic right, people of Osun State are not victimized. And also, the government have to know that after this election, the Osun people have to come back to their own senses. And I want to make a point. In one of the videos I came across, the governorship debate that was organized by Arise. Do you know what has been happening in Osun State? Governor Adeleke even made it on a public consumption. He did not mention them, but he said that some of his own rivals or his own people that he's competing with them have been calling him, Jack, this is politics now. Whatever is happening in Osun State is politics. So you mean it was an intentional and deliberate attempt to destabilize the peace of Osun people?
And then you call it politics.
They call it politics. And after that, behind the scenes, they are just cracking jokes.
People are dying at the expense of what you call politics.
Politics. Look at the statement made by Senator Francis.
Very true. But now, beyond deploying thousands of security personnel to come and ensure that the electoral process goes smoothly, how can we also ensure, what do you think that the police, the DIG should do to also ensure that the policemen that have been deployed maintain a high level of neutrality and professionalism all through the process?
I think what they should do is that they have to be neutral at all costs. Because if you cheat the good people of Osun State, you are cheating yourself. And also surveillance is very, very good. And monitoring. And also the security personnel and even the citizens should avoid misinformation and also disinformation.
Yeah.
They should not be able to at least take any information that did not come out from the credible source, and they should avoid what we call political victimization, and also what we call political violence. And the police should also ensure that they have they have showcased neutrality and all excellence. And one of the major reasons that I want to acknowledge the effort of Nigerian police is, among those 15,000 armed personnel that they deployed, there is what we call mobile courts. Once you break the law, there is a mobile court there, you will just be prosecuted. Straight. But I believe maybe this is going to maybe victimize some members of the certain political party, not that are within the confine of the law. Because I'm borrowing from what Senator Adams said. If you are from the APC, your previous sin have been forgiven. And also, the problem of godfatherism. Those political godfathers have to call and warn their own supporters.
Yes.
If anything happened to you, you should not consider me. I'm not inciting you to go and perpetuate evil acts. All what I am after is go out and exercise your own franchise. Because according to Section 39 of 1999 Constitution, every Nigerian have the right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It is your duty as a Nigerian, your own civil responsibility to elect the person who you feel will give you justice. I think these are the things that we needed from Osun people, and also from the security personnel. They should do that. And the security personnel cut across everyone. You're a security personnel in your own stand.
Yes.
If you see any kind of like a tense condition or a tense situation, or a political pandemonium is trying to erupt, you should quickly report to the nearest authority.
Yes.
I believe no matter what, police, there are some laws in Nigerian constitution that allow them to use their own tear gas in order to calm down the riot peacefully.
So, well, we hope that the parties involved actually do what is necessary, and come the Osun polls tomorrow, we hope that a high level of professionalism as well as good conduct is displayed at the end of the day, and we pray that the best man and whom the cap fits.
And also, I saw what Governor Adeleke stated, that there may likely be a kind of like technical encroachment. Because INEC are now going to use beavers and some modality they put in place. So Osun is going to serve as a testing ground for 2027 general elections. And I saw the Governor Adeleke saying that there's a resident electoral commissioner from Imo, which came to Edo, and she's an IT expert. So they are raising alarm. They will think that they may likely kind of like have a kind of like a cyber bullying, or they may likely distort the electoral credibility. But I believe the government have put in place every necessary things, and I also believe that INEC will not allow to be intimidated, and INEC will not allow the mandate of Osun people to be still from some few individuals, because I'm very, very positive when it comes to neutrality of Nigerian civil servants. It's only when they have political interference.
Well, like you've rightly said, Nigerians are watching. We at S24 Television, we are also watching, and we'll be here to give you more updates as they come. So the conversation continues, but we have to go on a short break first. Please stay with us. Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is S24 Morning Digest, your trusted breakfast television program coming to you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. And before we went on the break, I and my colleague Abubakar Turaki were talking about the upcoming Osun governorship election, which is slated to hold in less than 24 hours. But now we are going to be taking a swipe from the electoral process in Osun State, and we'll be moving to Edo State, where a report came out saying that the state recorded 70 child defilement cases, and fathers surprisingly top the highest number of offenders. So I just want to hear your reaction on that report.
It's quite alarming.
Yes.
And I believe this statistics is underreported.
Definitely. I also think so.
Yeah, it's really, really underreported. Sometimes I begin to wonder, why will you be able to defile
your own child?
Not even your own child. Unmatured, should I call them minor?
Minors, yes.
Why will you do that? Then I will tell you why. It will either be maybe longer truth, or it is for spiritual gain.
Well, there are some people who also have psychologically, they are not really okay upstairs, because I think you're kind of sick mentally for you to even find someone who is a child attractive, and not just attractive,
of course,
but going a step further to actually defiling them.
It's quite alarming, and it's really, really disturbing. And if you remember, it's not only Edo. I recently came across some videos. I think I saw a father in Yobe State. He has been sleeping with his own biological daughter. And I also saw that incident in Katsina State. Why are they doing that thing? Why? If you really want to satisfy your urge, maybe you can go ahead. There are some social workers out there who they are willing to cooperate
with even an affordable rate. Yes,
it's not that we are trying to advertise their own business.
We are not. But it's just quite alarming, because there are videos everywhere on social media. There was a time I saw one of an elderly man. This man was about
70 or 60.
Yeah, about 50, 60, and he was luring a girl that was less than 10. She was hawking, I think, brown nuts or something, and he kept telling her to come to his room to collect money and all of that. It did not make any sense. We've even seen actual videos of the defilement process going on, and it's just sickening watching it, that first off, you are not mentally okay, like I said, and then you are going a step further to commit that act, and the worst of it, you are now recording yourself doing it. So that young man was caught in that compound, and he had several videos where he had raped that girl countless times.
Oh my God.
And that's another thing. Most of the time when there are defilement cases, a lot of times they are usually people that the victims know, or the survivors know or have a personal relationship with, one way or the other. And why do you think that is?
Because we have a weak institution. Because for as long as our institutions are weak, because Nigeria and Africa, we have strong individual and weak institution.
Yeah.
For as long as your individualism is stronger than our institution, then we should not expect anything. Maybe the person is of 60 years, he's a respected person in that community. How do you expect him? They will go against him. All what they will do is they'll just try and hide everything, and he'll just find a way of compensating the girl.
Yes, and I think that's also one of the issues we are having. The fact that Nigeria as a society, we let justice evade us at times. Do you know that? I believe also that it's maybe because of a lack of trust in the justice system. But most of the time, when there are issues of rape, we tend to forgive. Somebody would rape somebody, and then a man or a woman, as the case may be, would rape a minor, and instead of prosecuting that person and ensuring that person is locked up behind bars where it's supposed to be, you now find the family members coming to the victim's family to beg and say they are sorry, to say forgive and all of that. These are some of the reasons why these things happen, because somebody rapes a person and then the victim is the one that is shamed. I know of a personal criminal case of a lady back then. I was still a child as well. I was like 10 years old, and this girl was 7. And she was defiled by their neighbor where they were staying. So they had to bring her to her aunt, who lived in the same neighborhood as I did then. And we heard the story then. As a child, I was curious. So I called her and I asked her what happened. And she narrated what happened, how that young man defiled her and all. And I remember my little self being very, very sick, just hearing how that person, because she was describing him as an uncle at that time. So he was a matured guy then. And after everything, I think she said the guy was their landlord's son at the time. This boy was only sent to the police station for about a week. After that, he was bailed and brought back to the compound. Guess what happened?
You continue.
No, in that compound, she was now the one that was being shamed.
Oh my God.
As a child, she said if she's walking down the street, people will be pointing at her. And then the owner of the compound made life a living hell for she and her parents, she and her family. So they had to eventually move from that place and come miles away to where we were living.
Can you imagine?
So you can imagine the victim, the perpetrator, who is the one that is supposed to be covering his face in shame when he's going out, still moves and acts like a boss. Meanwhile, it is the victim that now has to hide her face in shame. So these are some of the issues. And just like you said, to weak institutions,
of course,
these things happen, and then the police too sometimes are also complicit. An issue of rape will happen and they'll tell you, auntie, sorry now, or they forgive and forget, or they start asking you, why did you go to the person's house, or why didn't you report? But when you report, how long have these prosecution cases gone?
You know, Nigeria, let me remember what Idris Abdul Karim said. He said that Nigeria, I'm not going to and one of the major reasons is poor parenting.
Yes,
most of the parents are not even mentally, psychologically, economically, financially, and even politically ready to give birth to certain number of children. And we also have cultural understanding and the culture of silence. We also have stigmatization.
Yes.
For as long as you are being defiled, and if you voice it out, people will start stigmatizing you.
Yes.
Especially in our own community, the blame is entirely on the victim.
Yes.
Not knowing that maybe a young man, he's very handsome, he was able to at least deceive her, and he was able to achieve what he wanted to achieve on her. And if she voice out, he would just deceive her. And after that, whenever he started doing that such act with her, that is the beginning.
Yes, of course. It can only get worse.
Worse. That is the beginning. And for as long as maybe if the girl is not that too smart enough, he's going to be sending her threats. If you voice it out, that's the end of your life. If you do this, that is the end of your life. These are the kind of reasons why most of our weak institutions are the one that are aiding most of this security situation or most of the social vices that is currently going on here. But if to say that if you are caught defiling any lady, you'll be sentenced to prison maybe for 500 years.
Indeed. Well, I am in total support of that. But also, how best can religious institutions and the school setting and even the family setting, how well can we promote the culture of voicing out and better protect children? Before you respond, now, when it comes to the issue of sexual and gender-based violence, let's not forget that boys also get abused. I would never forget, I always share this story. When I was in primary school, I had a classmate who shared a story with me. We were in primary 4 or so then, and he told me of a certain auntie that used to tell him to come to her room and tell him to do certain kinds of things to her growing up then. And he used to come to class and tell me. Now, as children, he just told me, and we just laughed it off because he also saw it as a joke. We just laughed it off. He told me that thing twice. Now, as an adult, that I'm more aware about these issues and how they can affect people, I just know it straight up that this woman messed up with this boy at that age. And who knows how he turned out, because I never had any communication with him after primary school. I don't think if I even see him now, I'll still recognize him. But that his story has stayed with me all these years. So how can religious leaders, how can parents how can our child protection systems, what really can be done to protect children from predators, because they are everywhere?
From the religious scholars, they should bring they should bring people.
Bless you.
Thank you. They should bring people very, very close to them.
Yes.
Preach the word of the Lord to them. Let them understand what they are doing. It has two repercussions. If you are caught, you will be sentenced, and in the hereafter, you will go back and answer what you have done from your Lord. Then from the parents should understand that they have to give birth to certain number of children they can be able to cater for. Because you can't just come out and be giving birth to children that you know that you're not going to cater for them. And at the end of the time, you will push them to the streets.
Very true.
The government should also find a way of strengthening our own institution. There are certain laws, child rights acts that are currently going on, even though most of the state, especially state in the northern part of the country, are yet to domesticate this law. The government should find a way of domesticating the law, and whosoever been caught doing that thing, he should be held responsible no matter what. And furthermore, part of the solution that I'm advocating, the government should find a way of subsidizing marriage, because marriage is too expensive.
But now, in places like Edo, we are seeing that it is even fathers that are doing this to their children.
No, sometimes they are not their own biological parents. You know, Africa, we have this culture. Even if somebody did not give birth to you, you may likely account him as your own father.
But there are cases.
There are some exceptional cases.
In modern times, we can't even count.
I'm going to attribute that thing, those that are defiling their own daughters. You know, there is a massive proliferation of this business, manpower business, this Kayamata. People are really selling it out there. And the consumption, the public, the way they are consuming that Kayamata and Kayamaza is too alarming. We should find a way of at least controlling the rapid sale of Kayamata and Kayamaza, because if you buy that thing and you are able to consume it, the next thing, what is the next thing? You want to satisfy your urge.
Okay, for our non-Hausa speakers, Kayamatas are different kinds of aphrodisiacs for men and women. You can continue.
Well, it is very alarming. Yes. I recently saw what Kano State censorship board did. There is one woman that has been selling that thing online, and she has been using some vulgar words. Imagine a young man, maybe a young man in his own 16, 17, came across that video. He may likely say, maybe I want to try this thing. On the process of consumption, he consumed it. What is going to be the next? He should find a way of satisfying its urge. And you won't even care whether you're an adult, whether you're a minor, or even whether or even whether you're a toddler. Because there have been reports, among the report from Edo, part of the 70 cases that they recorded, a child of 2 years was defiled, and a child of 10 years was also defiled. Where are we heading to? What sort of country are we going to? Are we going into a state of barbarism? What is the difference between an animal and a human being? A goth, an adult goth, can even go and have intimacy with his own mom.
Yes, yes. So now, do you are you an advocate for tougher punishments? Because a lot of times when these people even get to trial, they go to court and they are eventually convicted, they don't spend a long time in prison. Let me give an instance. There's a popular Nigerian actor, a Yoruba actor, that was caught in the process of trying to sexually assault a minor. I think she was about 14 years old at the time. And all of this was caught on camera. This man was sent to prison. And he spent barely 3 years. He came out and the society celebrated him. He went to the, I think he went to one of the Obas. Which of the Oba was that again? I think the Oba of Ife, or I can't really remember the particular Oba he went to. He went there, greeted the man, paid homage to the man. The man gave him a brand new car. And then this man still got married to the love of his life. He has a child, and society has just moved on from him. He was just welcomed back to the society like somebody who did not even do anything at all. Shame. Yes. So what should be the penalty for people who are caught as sexual offenders, either trying to or who abuse children, minors.
Death penalty by hanging. I know that I have an elementary understanding of Nigerian law and constitution.
Yes.
But sometimes I believe if we are going to set things by example, because no matter what, for as long as you have money in our dear country, Nigeria, you will find a way of bypassing the law. You made me remember some two incidents that happened. One popular content creator, I can't remember the name, he was able to at least defy, I think, a 17-year-old girl. She came online and she committed suicide.
Yes, we just saw that story too. That trended, I think, last month.
Remember that story? I'm talking of that celebrity that went to court, and after when he came back, he went to a traditional chief and he gave him branded new car. Remember what happened with Governor Alamesia of Bayelsa State? Governor Alamesia was sentenced there. He looted the treasury of Bayelsa State, but when he came back, they celebrated him. Was it not that time when Governor Alamesia was impeached, then Goodluck Jonathan became the governor of Bayelsa State? He was impeached because of corruption and some political irregularities, but part of them, it was massive corruption. And when he came back to his people, they celebrated him. This is ours. This is ours. Release him. This is ours. Even in the northern part of the country, loot big and get a chief and traditional title, they will just crown you as Dang Amar in Dance Itong.
Then this, then that.
For what?
So
you're a thief. You looted our own money, and why will you be celebrating you? Because they have used poverty and weaponized everything. They have left us in darkness, and they have left us in a situation of ignorance, illiteracy, and malnutrition.
So finally,
and part of the solution I'm advocating for,
yes,
they should find a way of guiding and counseling, post-traumatic guiding and counseling, because a 16 or 12 or even 9-year-old that passed through this defilement process, whether she's a girl or a boy, she has to pass through guiding and counseling so that she can at least, because she went through a lot of trauma. And the other one is urban and regional planning. Any incompleted building, the government should find a way of completing it, or if the owner of the building is not going to complete it, within 6 months, the government should demolish it.
That is it.
Because most of these atrocities, they are being committed inside incompleted building. This is an hideout for armed robbers, kidnappers, bandits,
rapists,
and even sex predators.
Yes, very, very true. You know, growing up, if you've grown up as a girl in Nigeria, honestly, there are a lot of experiences that you'd share. There's a report, I think that report is from the UN, that at least 1 in 3 girls have experienced one form of sexual harassment in their lifetime or the other. And I completely agree with that, because as a woman or as a female, I can count it. There is hardly any female I know that hasn't experienced one form of sexual harassment or the other. And it is not until somebody like physically rapes you or assaults you. When somebody says a comment that you do not appreciate, when somebody touches you in a way that you do not like, these are some of the ways that are forms of harassment, and we shouldn't keep quiet about some of these things. This conversation is heated, but we have to go on another break, and when we come back, we'll exhaust it. Please stay with us. Welcome back from that break. This is still S14 Morning Digest, and this is the newspaper review segment. I've been with my guest, Abubakar Turaki. Thanks for staying with us.
Thank you.
And before we went on the break, we were talking about the number of sexual or defilement cases in Edo State. A report came out saying that over 70 cases were recorded, and surprisingly, majority turned out to be the fathers or close relatives of some of the victims. And just before we went on the break, we were talking about better support systems for victims of rape and other forms of sexual and gender-based violence. But beyond providing support systems for them, also how best can we create an enabling environment for these people to feel comfortable to voice out when they are experiencing some of these things? Because you've rightfully mentioned that stigma and a lot of factors stop people from coming out to voice it out. Even for children, sometimes these things go on for years. There have been reports of people who have been defiled from when they were 5 up until when they were 13 and all of that. We saw cases like Ochanya's case, which was Benue State, that happened for, I think it happened for almost a 3 to 5 year period. And so there are so many of these cases that will happen from when that child is, from when that victim was a child up until they got to adulthood and they could leave their family house. So how do we create an enabling environment for victims of sexual and gender-based violence to come out and voice out early enough when we can still, nip those situations in the bud?
You see, like the presence of NGO have been doing it, and they are doing it. And whenever something like that happens to you, just go to the nearest police station, voice it out, or go to someone that is very, very close to you and you feel and you believe that is a secret keeper. You see, stigmatization is one of the reasons why many people die on silence.
Yes.
I know that it may be difficult for you to come out and say, so thing happened to me. Because we are in a society, African culture, we are being categorized as, that is what we fail to understand. We call it trying to keep secret because we don't want people to shame us.
Yes.
Is it not better for you to be shamed and justice is being given on your own favor? Remember, if this person defiles you, the next person is going to be another victim.
Yeah.
And he will continue to do that until when he is caught. But the moment if he defiled you, or if he defiled her, then definitely if you voice it out, he will be apprehended.
Yes.
And
so
then
you
have saved a lot of victims.
That's one important mindset shift we should start having.
And we should find a way of breaking the culture of acceptance. The culture of no, I don't like it. No, I'm not interested. No, if you insist, I will report you. And also the presence of social media and internet have also contributed a lot. Because you're always exposed to westernization. Some movies that are not even decent, you're always exposed to them. And you know how human being is. Because there was a case that I came across on social media. Those were siblings. And when the algorithm, if it is an adult phone, he know that it's an adult that is using this thing.
Yes.
And most of our own parents nowadays, they have surrendered their own phones to their own children.
Yes.
So the boy, whenever he's scrolling, something like that will just pop it up. And they have always been seeing that with his own sister. One day they decided to go and practice that. Courtesy of what? Internet. Social media and internet. And he started practicing this at the early age. What do you expect? Is he going to stop? If care is not taken, that is going to be the end of that boy, because he has started experiencing something that he is not yet fully matured for.
Yes.
And we should find a way of promoting more sex, more intimacy education.
Yes.
It's very, very good.
Very, very good. Very, very good. They would always say that as a mother, as a father, let your child know and call these things by their names. Don't say he touched my this. Tell them what it means and tell them, let your children know boundaries very early.
Oh yeah, it's very, very good.
So that when somebody is touching them in a way that is not appropriate, it can be fixed. They can voice out. And it's also important for parents to create that enabling environment, that room for their children to feel open, to want to talk to them, to want to express their fears to them and whatever
in northern part of the country, we that came from the northern part of the country, there is something that is still wrong with us. We call it kunya, but when it comes to learning, especially learning something that is very, very vital to you, because no matter what, no matter how you think you are, you will soon be a father and you will soon be a mother.
Yes.
And it is your duty and responsibility to educate your own children. if you fail to educate your own children in the appropriate manner, society will educate them in an inappropriate manner, and they will be the predators that will come and consume you.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Abubakar. I'll just put a pause to this conversation right now. But remember, no means no. No means no. And please, just as we always advocate here, when you see something, say something and trust the relevant authorities to do something. So let's now take a swipe. We'll be looking at the Daily Trust newspaper, and on the front page it says 2027 Makinde picks ex-DSS DG Daura as running mate, rallies opposition. The rest to this 2027 election is becoming is gaining momentum more and more day by day.
Yeah, it's gaining momentum, but it is not interesting to Nigerians.
Why do you think so?
Because they're bird of the same feather. We have analyzed yesterday who have been ruling this country for almost 60 years.
Yes.
And Makinde taking Lawal Daura, former director of DSS.
Yes.
Well, it's a good one, based on what they said and based on what we saw on social media, especially Facebook, X, and some other platform. But to me, as a Nigerian and as a student of political science, I don't think Lawal Daura have any political ground, because someone that was unable to at least clinch the ticket of ADC because he wanted to be the next governor of Katsina State, he was unable to clinch the ticket of the ADC. That is why he felt aggrieved and resigned from ADC. 2 days to his resignation, Seyi Makinde picked him. Seyi Makinde, is that your own political calculation? Someone that does not even have relevance in all states, and now you are trying to go into head-to-head with him at the secondary election?
But should the conversation be about having political relevance or about competence? If both men feel they have the competency and they have what it takes to run Nigeria, then Nigerians should support them.
I believe Nigerians will go for competency, meritocracy over political relevance. But I always say that in politics, we have two types of mathematics. There is a political mathematics and there is a pure mathematics.
Yeah.
One of the political mathematics that was played by the ruling party was going for a joint Muslim ticket. You see, that is their own mathematics.
Yes.
For example, if truly APM wanted to go into that political mathematics, the picking of Lawal Daura to some Nigerians, because that man does not have any political relevance in what Nigerians call death on arrival. Even Seyi Makinde, does Seyi Makinde have any relevance within the, because
nationally,
you cannot you cannot be the Nigerian president until and unless at least you have 24 states out of the 36 states that we have here in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes. Two-third
majority. And for you not to pick your own running mate, or even you not coming out from a popular region, for example, this politics of this country is divided across ethnicity and religion, whether we like it or not. It is there since 1999 up to this material.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting Seyi Makinde will pick somebody that is more relevant in the northern part of the country. But I believe part of what I saw, what they did, they say that one of the major things that they will do if Nigerians give them the chance, they will at least alleviate the problem of insecurity, because Lawal Daura have security experience, because he was the former director of DSS. He has that security experience, which I believe maybe if they have the power, they will channel that security experience into the addressing of most of the issues in the country. And Seyi Makinde is a politician, a seasoned politician who have ruled Oyo State for almost 7 years now, counting to the 8th year. And they also stated that they are going to address the problem of empowerment by creating more jobs and skills. They further also stated that, well, I think you are the one that we discussed about restructuring.
Yes.
Or Obasanjo and Jonathan were calling for restructuring.
Yes.
If you remember, I told you APM is one of the faction of the PDP.
Yes, you
based on some
mentioned that. Right.
And still, they still came up with restructuring. They want to restructure Nigerian political system. So maybe they are trying to make it feasible. What their own godfathers failed to do it, they are now going to do it. And furthermore, they stated that they wanted to bring government more closer to the people, because they stated that a decision that was supposed to take in Osun, Abia, Kaduna, Kano is being taken in Abuja.
You know, but my own worry most of the time is, or my own concern is, why do these people, why do they think they must take that baton of leadership before they can implement these bright policies they have? Because if I'm in a place and I feel that A, B, and C would work to make that place better, I just go and meet the people in charge that this is what I think, or I know this is what you're doing, but I think if you implement A, B, or C, this could work. But why must every politician be the president or be the governor or be the whatever before those bright policies and those bright changes, they would share those blueprints with Nigerians?
You see, we are here in
It's
Abuja.
about selfishness.
It's about selfishness, one. Politicians have their own different roles. And you also have your own different role. One reason why the last week mass Kano wedding that took place in Kano, do you know that there's a political reason behind that?
Really?
3,000 people got married. By next year, they will multiply. More multiplication, more votes. Even if the vote is not going to yield in 2027, they are calculating it in 2031. So politicians are thinking differently, and you, in Nigeria, you are thinking differently. Because your own calculation, 1 + 1 is 2. But in politics, 1 + 1 is 1 million.
1 + 1 is 1 million. I have to just put a stop to you.
Please, let me also make this statement clear before I forget. I forgot the statement. I wanted to make one very important point.
Yes.
Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, in her book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous, you say that politicians felt that they must be president before they make impact. They should have come and meet people and give them the idea.
Yes.
When she was the Minister of Finance, and most of the governors, Adams Oshimole is there, Tambol was there, and many governors were there. And even Amechi, if I remember, Amechi was also among the governors. They went to her office because they were trying to uproot the government of PDP out of power. They went to her office because we had what they call, when Sanusi Lamido was the governor of Central Bank, Okonjo-Iweala was the Minister of Finance. We have been saving money for rainy days. They went to her, they told them, we are saving this money because the country may likely fall into recession.
Yes.
They said to her, you cannot decide. We are the governors and this is the rainy days. Give us the money. She has envisaged that something huge is coming. That is why when Buhari came into power in 2015, immediately 2017, the country went into an abject recession. If you say that they have listened to her, by then I believe we could have pulled out that money, cautioned the effect of the economy, and Nigerians will continue. Maybe by now we could have not been suffering from the dilapidated economy that we inherited. So that is why politicians are too ambitious to the extent that they can kill because of their own ambition. But remember, African politicians.
Indeed. So because of time, I want us to quickly look at our last story for today. And we are still looking at the Daily Trust newspaper. And there's a statement coming from our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He says refineries will work again. This is not the first time we are hearing that refineries will work again. So I don't know whether we should start clapping.
Hey,
we should start dancing here now.
I always, not that I'm supporting the president. The president is our father because he's the #1 citizen in our dear country.
Yes.
And it's a culture in the northern part of the country. A person that is more than 60 years that senior you, at least he deserves respect. So I really respect President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even though sometimes we criticize most of his own policy, not with the intention of feeling bad, but with the intention of maybe he may likely do something that will make us smile again. Yesterday, after Nupeng, the delegation of Nupeng and Pengasan visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he assured to them that Nigerian refineries are going to bounce back to their own step, which I want to use this opportunity and call President Tinubu that on your mandate we stand for as long as you will continue to make policies like that, because it's very good. We have more than 4 refineries in this country, and the government have been, for the past how many years, the refineries have not been working?
For decades.
For more than decades. They have not been working. But based on what the president said said yesterday, the president, I felt it was a little bit political. If you remember, I said that from now to 2027 election, we will see some positive result and positive outcome from the government. He even stated that he has been doing well. Due to the refineries are not producing a single liter of fuel, based on what he said, but still the government are still paying the salary of the staff, which has a multiplying effect to even common person. Because if a staff of an NNPC got his own salary, he will go to the market and buy some certain commodities. You see, the president not the president, the government are still supporting them. And he also further stated that the presence of CNG, he is going to actualize CNG, see the light of the day, because most Nigerians are yet to welcome CNG, compressed natural gas, because of its own risks,
other challenges.
And the president did a lot by saying that they are going to refine the refinery. We should embrace that with positive mind and pray that there is going to see the light of the day. And one of the advantages I have here, if this refinery see the light of the day, is going to rehabilitate most of our own dilapidated economy. And I believe the economy is going to smile and Nigerians will have sympathy and they will be able to afford certain things. It is also going to create more jobs. And it's also going to address the problem of insecurity. Because our own agile population may likely go there as people that will be working there, because we have civil and petrochemical engineers that they are still jobless.
Okay, so sorry to cut you short, but again, like I said, this is a conversation we've had for several years.
Yes.
I grew up hearing about all these refineries, and being from Kogi State, I heard about the Ajaokuta Steel Refinery. I've heard so many presentations and this. We all know the potentials that these refineries would create if the different opportunities and potentials that they come with if they start to function. But my question is, why have they not been functioning? That's number one. And what makes you think that this particular time that the president has made this statement, what makes you think this statement is different from the others that we've been hearing over the years?
Why have they been not functioning? Maybe as a concerned Nigerian, I will give my input, but I think the government is in the right position to address to Nigerians why have they been not functioning. That is what we call neocolonialism. External influence. Nigeria is among the OPEC countries.
Yeah.
And once if Nigerian refinery are working, we will no longer be buying fuel from the Western world. You see, we are going to cripple their own economy. So they will find everything possible not to allow our own economy to function. But if we really have the zeal, the sincerity, I believe our own leaders will find a way of manipulating and even romancing the Western world to allow our own refinery to start working. Remember, individual like Dangote, if he can sell refinery within 78 years, why will not government be able to cater for at least 15 refineries now? And secondly, why do you think maybe the president had made that statement now? Maybe he's trying to use it as a political tool.
Yes.
Because he's a very, very smart politician and he's too ambitious sometimes when it comes to achieving his own interests. He may likely say it, my predecessors, he even made something that which I thought it was just a politics. I inherited most of the burden of my predecessor. And I am now going to catch the bull by the horn by making those refineries to work. But I have a question to ask the president and even the federal government.
Quickly, before we leave.
How much is the rehabilitation of the refinery going to cost? And how sure are we, if the government use the taxpayers' money in rehabilitating the refinery, the government is not going to abandon the refinery again? I pray next week if they can come out with this answer, I will appreciate them. May God bless Nigeria.
May God bless Nigeria. Amen. Thank you so much, Abubakar, for joining us today on the newspaper review segment on SN4 Morning Digest. That's all we can take today. Enjoy your weekend. Coming up next, we are taking the conversation beyond the studio to the street in our Street Talk segment, where Nigerians will have their say. And there's still plenty more ahead, from Health 360 to top trends and all the latest action from the world of sports on the sports desk. But for now, it's goodbye from me. Stay with us because the morning is only getting started.
questions around the credibility of Nigeria's electoral process still remain. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, is INEC ready for a free, fair, and credible elections? Let's hear from Nigerians.
Sure, of course. We believe that, yeah, it's nothing INEC cannot do at this point, presently, sure. Me, I believe, say, it better for Nigeria, better for all.
I don't think INEC are fully ready for this election. I think there are still other issues that need to be settled.
I wouldn't say, or I've not thought towards that direction, but it's INEC. They've always done what they do. Like people that watch football, when they're watching football, they say, if I be that guy for playing like this, most time you're not wearing the shoes. You don't know where it hurts. If you don't wear the shoes, you don't know how it fits.
The way things are moving now in this country, it's like they are ready to do things right by this time, and we pray so that everything will become good for us in this country by God's grace.
INEC has been better than the past, but I'll say that we are not there yet. A free election depends on, it's not just about INEC. It's about the political parties, the voters, and other members that mix up an election.
My viewing about the upcoming election is that I do not see anywhere that INEC will going to give us a free and fair election.
My biggest concern for this election will come up, we say, bro, sis, Alpha. Only better Nigeria we need to.
I'm not satisfied because it seems like most people that voted, their votes didn't count, but then still go out and vote. At least the opportunity for them to rig the election will be slim.
If people come out and vote, I believe we'll get free and fair. I remember the last election. In my environment, people stood their grounds, even when the police insisted in taking the ballots away because it was past voting time. People insisted that no, they must finish counting the votes before the police could leave. And because the police could not fight everybody, they stood and waited for the agents to count the votes. So everything is in the hands of the people.
The transparency of if they improve the transparency of the election, everything will be good.
The biggest concern about it is that Nigerian citizens need to become as one. What we need to demand is a good governance. We should not focus on seeing the ethnicity, the religion diversity, and the rest. What we need to do is for us to demand for a good governance. That is it.
With the 2027 general elections drawing closer, the big question remains: is INEC truly ready and prepared to deliver a free, fair, and credible election? Well, we'll wait and see. I am Gladys Asuko, reporting for S24 Television.
How safe is a female journalist in today's workspace? Every day, female journalists step out to tell stories that matter. They inform the public, question those in power, and give voice to the voiceless. But many women in journalism simply doing their jobs comes with serious risks. The numbers are alarming. A global study by the UNESCO and International Center for Journalists found that 73% of journalists have experienced online violence because of their work. 1 in 4 receive threats of physical violence, 18% receive threats of sexual violence, and 20% receive abuse they experience online, which later turn to real-life attack. Today, female journalists increasingly targeted by cyberbullying, hate speech, coordinated misinformation campaigns, especially those reporting online politics, corruption, election security, or human rights. Another growing concern is the misuse of artificial intelligence, deepfake videos, manipulated images, and AI-generated content, now being used to spread false information, damage reputation, and undermine the credibility of female journalists faster than ever before. The dangers are not limited to the digital world alone. While covering elections, protests, or conflict, even inside the newsroom, some continue to experience discrimination, sexual harassment, unequal opportunities. These experiences have lasting consequences. According to UNESCO, 30% of female journalists said online abuse led them to self-censor, while 26% reported impact of mental health. When journalists begin to silence themselves out of fear,
the public lose access to important stories. So what's the solution? Government must enforce laws that protect journalists. Media organizations must create safe, inclusive workspaces. Technology companies must act faster against online abuse. Government must enforce laws that protect journalists. Media organizations must create safe workspace. Technology companies must act fast against online abuse, AI-enabled harassment, and the public must continue to defend press freedom. Because protecting female journalists is not about protecting individuals, it's about protecting the truth. When journalists are safe, democracy is stronger. When they are silenced, society is left in the dark.
Every Nigerian note carries a face. But behind the 5 naira note, it is not just a portrait, it is the story of a man, a nation, and a dream that was both born and broken. Long before he became a symbol of leadership, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was just a boy from a quiet town in Bauchi. Life in the early 20th century northern Nigeria was simple. But it was strict. It was shaped by tradition, education, and discipline. From those early days, nothing about his background would have suggested that one day he would be at the center of Africa's largest political stage. Yet, education changed everything. You know, as that saying goes, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Health 360, the program where we bring you credible health information to help you make informed decisions about your well-being. And I'm your host, Oniye Shikra. Mental health influences how we think, feel, respond to life challenges. Yet, despite how common the mental health conditions are, many people continue to suffer in silence because of stigma, fear, and misinformation. On today's edition, we are breaking the silence. We'll explore what mental health really means, the warning signs that shouldn't be ignored, common mental health disorders, treatments, options, and how we can all support those that may be struggling. And our special guest for today is Dr. Emeka Moses Enuma, who will help us separate facts from fictions and provide practical insights into maintaining good mental health. Hello, Doctor.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. Good to be here.
Okay, so, Doctor, let's begin with the basics. What is mental health?
Okay, when we talk about mental health in simple terms, we're talking about the aspect of your well-being that enables you to cope with everyday life stress. And then we're talking about your ability to recognize your potential and to live up to that potential. The third stream, we're talking about your ability to live, learn, and work on a daily basis, and finally one's ability to contribute to the community.
Okay, so many people often overlook mental health. How important is it?
Very, very important, very, very critical. Like from my definition, your ability to deal with stress, your ability to recognize and reach your potential, your ability to learn and to work, and the ability to contribute to the community. These are essential aspects of everyday living that helps everyone to function or thrive in their society. Once you take out any of these capacities or capabilities from any human, then you have as well ceased them from existing or being humans as essentially as they ought to be.
Okay, so that brings me to our next question. So, you know, every day you hear somebody say, oh, I'm depressed, or I have anxiety issues, or I'm battling social anxiety, or any form of anxiety. So from a medical perspective, can you give us a definitive definition of these terms, depression and anxiety?
All right. Depression and anxiety are two words that have been used interchangeably in our everyday parlance, and quite understandably, people do not know what these terms are. One of the challenges with these terms is that both terms are what we call emotional symptoms, and for we in mental health, emotional symptoms do not have a different pathologic name, like say for example when compared to physical health challenges like blood pressure. When the blood pressure is high, there's a name for it, hypertension. When it is low, there's a different name for it, hypotension. Right? When it is normal, normotension. But with emotional symptoms, when one's mood or emotions is low, it still maintains that name, depression. Okay? When the emotions are high, it's still around that same term. There is no particular specific name for that term. I'm trying to be careful now so that I don't deviate into something else. All right. So there's nothing as someone is so depressed or less depressed. Okay. If you're depressed, you're depressed. All right. And then there's a spectrum or there is a grade of depression, but that name depression is still sustained irrespective of the extremes of that person's mood or emotional state at the time. All right. The same thing with anxiety. So when we talk about depression, we are looking at actually three clusters. There's a collection of symptoms that you look out for before you say a person can be depressed. All right. Many a times when you hear people say they are depressed, they're actually talking about being low in mood. All right. It does not essentially mean that there is now a medical challenge that will need a medical intervention. Right. So those three clusters are one, the what we call the emotional or affective cluster. In that cluster, we are looking at their mood. If they are sad, when someone complains of being very sad or low in mood. All right. And then secondly, if that person has lost interest in activities, i.e. Sexual activities commonly, all right, loss of libido for men, amenorrhea, or loss of that sexual drive, all right, for both sexes, and then loss of interest in their hobbies or activities that they previously drive or get pleasure from. Once people lose that interest, we can say that they are depressed on one extreme. Something else we need to look out for is their behavioral changes. Their behavior begins to change. All right. For example, now this person decides to self-isolate or to stay alone. All right. Or they now find it difficult concentrating. You say something to them and their mind is not with you. They're trying to confirm what you have just said or trying to tell you to recap. All right. So they find it difficult concentrating, and their thought pattern is also affected. Right. They become hopeless about life. They do not see anything good coming out from the future. They become very pessimistic. Pessimism is very critical in depression. All right. They can also become helpless and useless, and at times worthless too. They feel like the feelings of guilt, right? They are responsible for their current predicament, things that had happened in the past is now affecting them. They feel like they are less of themselves. They are not enough as to function at that particular level. Then the final thing you want to look out for is some of the things that we call bodily symptoms. All right, just to keep it simple, some of these bodily symptoms are a change in their diet. They are either overeating or they've lost appetite. A change in sleep. They are either oversleeping or they find it difficult sleeping, what we call insomnia, right? So that's for depression on one end. For anxiety on another end, it also has its own clusters of symptoms, all right? So bodily symptoms like palpitations, the heart is racing very fast, breathlessness, they find it difficult breathing, all right? And abdominal pains, headaches, all right? And then they have the emotional symptoms too, like excessively worrying. Little things just make them, things that normally should not make people worry, make them worry. And then things like this set of people are now afraid of something happening. Suddenly they are just afraid. They easily get startled. They are probably sitting in their room working on something and somebody opens the door, and the way they react, they are startled and they react excessively for what that stimulus or that thing instigating the reaction should be. Okay, so these are things that you should look out for. So the reason why people tend to mix depression and anxiety is because both of them have a meeting point in terms of symptom presentation. All right, so there are some symptoms in depression that are similar to anxiety, and there are some symptoms in anxiety that are similar to depression, right? So there's no clear-cut difference or dichotomy between both disease entities, or both disorders rather. But however, we have a metric for measurements to differentiate both disorders clearly. And once you're sitting before a mental health physician or a psychiatrist, he's able to pick out some of these salient features in their disorder and then probably tell them what they are going through.
Okay, so how can we tell the difference between everyday regular stress and mental condition that needs medical help?
Okay. Thank you for that question. These are things that we face on a daily basis. So someone walks around you and they're telling you they're depressed or they're anxious or they're low in mood. They feel like the world is coming to an end. They are stressed, or they use basic terms. They use psychiatric terms that should not be, all right? It's very important to note that those terms are psychiatric diagnoses and should be made by a qualified professional, i.e. a psychiatrist, mental health physician, or a clinical psychologist, right? So before we head to these things, I'd like to let us know that stress is very good. You need stress to function, all right? Where stress becomes a challenge is when you find it difficult coping with it.
Okay.
When stress becomes, when you find it difficult coping with stress, then there's a call for medical attention, right? Number two, you want to look at the essentials that make this person a human. One of those essentials are their personal function. Personal function, so this person finds it difficult waking up from bed, taking their baths, essential grooming, brushing their teeth, looking dressed and properly dressed, all right, fending for themselves, basic core habits that they should do for themselves. They find it difficult doing. These are things that initially they do effortlessly. They find it difficult doing, or if at all they do it, they apply so much effort to execute it. The other thing you need to look out for is their relationship, social relationship, i.e. with their spouse if they're married, their parents or their siblings, their children, all right? Once social relationship is severed, they're having issues with people around them, they prefer to self-isolate, they easily get irritable, easily get anxious, they find it difficult coming out to the open in public spaces, in public meetings, and all that is a concern. Another thing you need to look out for, aside from the personal, the social, is their work. So if this person is in the working class, or if this person is a student, there's a downward trend in academic performance. They find it difficult showing up in class, doing their essentials as students that they used to be, find it difficult concentrating or retaining things that they have read, or in the place of work, they find it difficult giving their optimal productivity. So the boss shows up and is asking questions. Why are you finding it difficult hitting target or meeting target? Why do you sleep during meetings? Why do you sleep for the most part of the work hours and all that? These are concerns, right? So once there's a challenge with personal functioning, with social relationship, and with work or academics, based on the context of the individual we're looking at, then we can call for medical attention.
And that brings me to our next question. What are the most common mental health challenges people walk around with in Nigeria that we don't think it's something that is so important, but then it is really common and it really affects our productivity and our overall health?
Okay, I'm going to rank them probably in 5 classes. The first top on the list is some of the emotional symptoms, like you rightly mentioned, depression and anxiety. There's so much people around depressed actually and anxious, okay? But that does not mean that once someone is low in mood and all that they're already depressed. You have to actually see a professional who will tie up some of these things I've highlighted,
Yes.
their work, family, and all that, and the situation in context, to now say this person is depressed as to require medical attention, right? Anxiety, very, very common. We see them every day in the clinic. And then the second on that list, I like to rank suicide. Okay, so depression is actually an offshoot of suicide. Okay, so once the depression is not controlled, they can start contemplating suicide, self-harm, which is also a symptom in depression, and probably take their life if care is not taken.
I like the point you made on self-harm, because we as people As long as the person is not thinking of suicide, we do not think of other form of self-harm. Meanwhile, there are people that prefer to cut themselves or play with fire as a form of self-harm, but like we don't think it's a serious thing as long as the person is not thinking of depression. Meanwhile, some even go into drugs not with the intention of getting high, but with the intention of harming themselves.
Yeah. So that moves me to the third point, just like you're already guiding the discussion, substance abuse. In fact, it's when we talk about young and adolescent age group, the youth and adolescent age group, the substance comes first. People do substance to probably deal with damping family issues, social issues, relationship issues, all right, and depression as well. They want something that will give them that euphoric feeling. Nowadays, people now smoke synthetic substances that are produced or made from the combination of older and traditional or orthodox substances, all right? So these things are detrimental to the health. Okay, then when you talk about the children for their age group, the top on that list is ADHD, what we call attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and then autism on that list. So you have children hyperactive, finding it difficult to sit still in one place, focus in class, and all that is a mental condition, all right? That's not to say children don't go through depression and anxiety, but how they present is different from adults. So for example, for an adult that is depressed, that person is actually low in mood and low in energy. But for a child, the child is actually irritable, angry, and crying all over the place. It's just how they express it, and children do not talk.
That is a very important point, because you just see some children, you think, oh, they are being a sports brat, but then they are trying to express something they can't communicate.
They cannot communicate. Yeah, very, very common. Likely they are depressed. They're not happy with the situation. So I'm just saying that to guide the parents out there to watch out for these signs in their children, not to be focused on the adult signs and assume that since these children are not demonstrating some of these signs, that they are not depressed.
That was a good one. Thank you. Okay, so how do factors like financial hardship, unemployment, social media, and academic pressure affect the mental health?
Very, very critical. Recall our definition of mental health from the beginning. This person finds it difficult coping with everyday stress. This person finds it difficult recognizing and realizing their potential. They find it difficult learning or working, and then they find it difficult contributing to the societies. Some of these things you've listed in mental health, that's what we call the biopsychosocial model, the BPS, all right? So we look at mental illness or disorders from three streams, all right? Biologically, probably genetic, things passed down from the family, psychologically, the stress we talked about, all right? Stress can come from mental stress, can come from physical stress and illness, a challenge, a condition, a deformity. Stress can come from work, even trauma can be a source of stress. People go through trauma, have patients that have been raped in the past, patients that have been kidnapped. Some of these children you see that have been kidnapped for a while and brought out, some of them live with that trauma. It affects them. And then of course the social determinants as well, the financial status, the state of the family and their relationship, their state of religiosity, right? It's been shown recently, research from the Mayo Clinic, that people that have a good religious or spiritual relationship have tendencies to have a better outcome whenever they come down with mental illness or mental disorder. So some of these things are things we need to look out for. And just like you highlighted from your point, financial stress can be a challenge, all right? So anything that will pose stress to an individual and would probably lead to them having a challenge with dealing with that stress or coping with that stress can almost tilt them to mental illness. So yeah, all the things you've mentioned have that role, or they interact with mental disorders. They can either trigger or they can pose one at risk of having the condition, or probably even lead to the condition themselves, depending on the interplay, the individual, and the context we are looking at.
Okay. You've said it earlier. You said children and teenagers can be affected by depression or any form of mental health conditions.
Yeah.
However, can you dive deeper into the signs parents should look out for or guidance?
Okay, for their children.
Yes.
Okay. So some of the signs, first of all, for depression, they are probably irritable. Okay, the child is on edge, is all over the place, finds it difficult keeping calm, they're crying, right? Easily irritable and uncomfortable. That's a sign. Another sign is their sleep habits, right? Children, the younger you are, the more sleep requirements. The older you are, the less the sleep requirements. So children require more hours of sleep compared to adults. So if this child is not sleeping properly, is a call for concern. If the child is not sitting still, okay, you tell them to sit down in a particular place, they find it difficult, they're all over. Children are active, all right, but you should be able to draw the thin line between a child that is active and a child that is hyperactive. A child that is active will probably respond to stress, to threats, to keep them in order. But an hyperactive child, in the presence of threats, for example, applying punitive measures, trying to punish them, to beat them, or to give them some sort of incentives, when you apply some of those measures, that if that child is in order, they will respond. But a child that is having a mental illness does not respond to that, okay? If they find it difficult completing tasks for their age, because every child has a specific task for their age. You cannot tell a 2 years old to go and wash plates. It does not make sense, all right? So, for example, a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old should be able to do the dishes at home. If they find it difficult completing some of these tasks, focusing and concentrating in school, you should also listen to their teachers. They will tell you, your child finds it difficult focusing or paying attention in school, is always everywhere, they have been drowned, and they don't appear in class on time, or they don't show up in class even if they are in school. There's a decline in their academic performance. These are signs that you should watch out for. I believe with the few I've mentioned that this will be helpful to the general public.
There is a lot of stigma around mental illness generally in our context.
Yeah.
So why do people avoid seeking help apart from the stigma, and how can we change it?
Okay. It has to do with our society. Society has structured and reshaped a lot of ideas that we face in recent time. Okay, so there's many unsaid rules, arbitrary rules that now influence people's health-seeking behavior, right? So if someone has a physical illness, they want to report to the doctor. But if they have a mental illness, the doctor is not the first person to report to, because the challenge with mental illness is that is a disease, is a disorder of the mind, right? The mind is not that part of your body you can see or feel, just like when compared to a physical illness, right? So this person assumes or attributes that disorder to a spiritual cause. So the first thing they want to do is to meet their spiritualists, their religious leaders to intervene, all right? The next thing they want to consider is herbal concoctions or herbal medicines, all right? The other thing they want to consider is that neighbor that probably had something similar, that probably got a breakthrough, either from religious or whatever interventions, but not medical. They want to consider that and try that. So usually many times they are presenting to us in the clinic at the later stage of the illness. And one thing with mental disorders generally is that the earlier you present, the better the prognosis. So by the time this person is present, it's been over a year since the symptoms started, or more than a year, and all that. They've been to several places. Some of them have been kept in spiritual or healing homes for years and all that without seeing any improvement with their condition, and then they are now presenting to you. So I think that is a very major challenge why people do not come. The second thing is advocacy, which is what I'm doing for myself at my level. I run an NGO where I try to increase and improve advocacy around some of these mental conditions, the warning signs you need to look out for, so that when you see this around people, you tell them, hey, you need to see a psychiatrist or a mental health physician, you need to come to the hospital, see the psychologist and all that, so that the earlier intervention starts, the better the outcome of the disorder.
How are mental health conditions diagnosed? Are they medical tests, or diagnosis is based mainly on symptoms and assessment? You know, like when you are trying to diagnose somebody for a physical illness, you test the blood, you test the urine, you test their saliva. So how do we do that for mental illness?
Okay, at this point, I like to say that mental health is unique. We are in a class of our own, in a world of our own, and that's one thing that is very specific with that aspect of medicine. Now, in diagnosing mental illnesses, a bulk of our diagnostic tools and assessment is heavily reliant on observation, what we see, what we hear from this person, right? What we can observe, what we can pick out from what they are seeing and all that, okay? Because it's a disorder of the mind, and not so many of some of these diagnostic tools we use in physical health illnesses can assess the mind, right? So you need to connect with this person, to their mind, right? Assess how they think, assess their challenge, behavioral changes, emotional changes, their experiences, their perception of reality, and all whatnot. So that is on one end. Another thing we do is we have a set of assessment tools and criteria that guide us, right, created and developed by the World Health Organization, that guide us in making diagnoses. That's not to say that we do not rely on some of the other investigations we use in physical illnesses. We also rely on them, but they do not do so much for us, right? So rely on basic ancillary investigations like complete blood count or full blood count, right, the electrolyte and urea creatinine levels and all that. But a bulk of our diagnostic tool is heavily reliant on what we can see, what we can observe, what we hear these people say. Clinical observation and physiology is what we are dependent on. Then we can now eventually tie it up or fall back to some of these blood tests and heavy duty investigations, imaging and scans, etc.
Okay, so what are the treatment options available apart from therapy or medication? What else?
Those are the main our main treatment options in mental health. Medications, all right, if they would need medications, because not all mental conditions require medication. Some will just require therapy, some will require a combination of medication and therapy. So those are the key things we do in mental health. We give medications that are appropriate, therapy. Of course, family support is very critical. We don't just treat the patient, we treat the patient in the context of the condition, right? So it's been shown that people that have good family support, social support, eventually do well in treatment outcome when compared to those that do not have such privileges or opportunities.
A lot of people tie mental illness to spiritual attacks based on our context as Africans and Nigerians. They tie it to spiritual attacks or maybe religious belief generally. So how do you counter, when people like this come to you, how do you counter them? How do you change their mindset that this has nothing to do with religion or spiritual attacks? It is mainly because the person is depressed or the person has anxiety. How do you do that?
Okay, to start with, I'm a Christian and I'm also spiritual. So is also every psychiatrist or doctor, clinical psychologist these patients are going to see in the hospital, right? If we believe that these things are essentially spiritual, would not be there. We'll resort to the spiritual means to get them better. Okay, while we recognize the role of spirituality in disease entities and processes, not just mental condition, but even with physical illness, we also try to advocate that while you resort to some of these spiritual interventions, that you also take them alongside with medical intervention, all right? So medical intervention and spiritual interventions are not at loggerheads. They should actually complement each other and go hand in hand, right? So the prayer from your imam, your pastor, does not contradict or contravene our medical interventions, right? So we say when people go through this situation, the first point of call is your medical doctor. You come down to the hospital, seek the appropriate help while keeping your imam or your pastor or whosoever has that spiritual authority over your life updated with the state of things, all right? And they are intervening. Prayer does not have distance. Prayer does not have barrier, right? So they can always visit the hospital, visit the ward, pray with this person. They can always go back home to their pastors, their churches, and receive intervention while they take those medications. Like I said, in mental health, what we have is the biopsychosocial model. That is to say that every mental disorder or condition, all right, is heavily reliant on these three sources, okay? The biological, which is what we try to approach, and psychological, and then of course the social, which of course spirituality, like I mentioned earlier, tries to approach putting in the family in order and order. There are a whole lot of things that are concerned with mental condition when you look at it in the right context. Okay, it's not just even the medical and the spiritual, social things like not having money, coming from a broken home, a broken marriage. Research has been shown that shouting in the presence of a child gives the same effect, an exact effect, as being present at the scene of a bomb blast.
Welcome back. This is still Morning Digest on S24 television, and it's another edition of Top Trends, where we spotlight the biggest stories and viral moments dominating social media. I'm your host, Gladys Asuko, and I won't be doing this alone, as our guest Solomon is joining us today again to help us digest today's stories. Hello, Mr. Solomon.
Hello, yeah. I am glad to see you.
How are you doing today? You look very good.
Yeah, thank you. And you, Stone.
How is everything?
We are managing.
So let's just quickly dive into our stories.
All right.
So the first story says Davido briefly stopped his UK concert after appearing to notice a fan disrespecting a member of his staff.
Okay.
So what can you say about that?
001.
001, and he's addressed as.
That is a boss-like move.
Yeah.
Because people see stars, be it domestic stars, be it supporting staff, they see them as irrelevant to the stars.
Wow.
You know, people come to look at the performer, which is the star person, OBO, and they don't know that the people who make all of those shows successful are actually the staff. So that move Davido made is a deliberate move to pass a statement that wherever I am today, whatever success you are seeing on this stage is a cumulative effort of all the stars that are surrounding me. So I commend that move. It's an interesting move.
I think this is not the first time this has happened, but particularly it happened between a fan and a staff.
Okay.
So I think it's about the bouncer. The video just has a way of just sparking conversations among social media. So it happened between a staff and a fan, and he was addressing the staff. No, don't bully my fan. Leave them with the
So because it's good to make the people working for you very comfortable, because if your staff is being disrespected with your knowledge, you're also being disrespected. So that move you made is just to pass a message to say, hey, whatever you won't do to me, don't do it to my staff. I am my staff, we are one. So
and there have also been comparison concerning him, Wizkid.
What is the comparison?
Both of them are fighting for the 001 position.
The question is, are they actually fighting, or
is it the fans
that they just create that? Every era. I think there was an era where I don't think you know, an era between Tupac and Biggie.
Okay.
I think one of the ways, and there's also this era now between Ronaldo and Messi.
Yes.
I feel that is one of the ways the fan gets their high. I don't know, where you just try to pit behind closed doors. Those people may not even be fighting. But it's also good for. I don't know.
Because I've seen several tweets.
You have to play
maybe Davido will respond to Wizkid tweets. Wizkid will respond to fans. Everybody are just bashing themselves, arguing here and there.
Let me tell you, when it comes to marketing, anything goes. Personally, I don't believe Wizkid and Davido are at loggerhead. I don't believe, but I believe it's necessary to give the fans the adrenaline they want. It's more like, every story, every movie you watch. I remember when we were learning story writing, then lecturer told us, he said every story must have a curve. What does it mean? If you are watching a movie, you are trying to see, what can happen, that dramatic effect.
Especially fans, they want to know what happened.
So if there's no drama, there's no story. So I believe that drama is necessary to keep the story alive.
Honestly speaking, if you actually went through the comment section, you see people praising Davido. This one was like, you be angel. I think somebody was saying Davido is an angel.
Really?
God directly sent him to Nigeria. I was like, wow, is this how we love Davido? So maybe saying if it's Burna Boy, would have kicked his fans, because I think there are several clips that came up on social media whereas Burna Boy was assaulting his fans.
Yeah, maybe I think the fan was trying to climb the stage.
They were like hitting him and stuff. So people were like, if to say na Burna Boy, this would have happened. They were not comparing, like, is this necessary?
The thing is, you know, as a Nigerian, right? Sometimes we are not too used to being treated with dignity. I don't know if you saw a story that was trending one time a few days ago, how that I think wives of politicians were some people that were carrying their bag were literally sitting on the floor. I don't know if you saw it. And somebody said, may I make money so that my mother will not carry bag for the successful and sit on the floor. And somebody now responded with, and when we also make the money, may we not make somebody's mother to sit on the floor. I think most often than not, we are not used to being treated with dignity. So when you see somebody I love Davido for the fact that he's trying to touchlight that people around him are also stars, because there is no celebrity, nobody's an island. I'll give you a story, right? There's someone called John C. Maxwell. So he was giving a speech. So he said, nobody has ever achieved anything of great influence alone. And somebody raised his hand in the audience and said, excuse me. He said, what? I think he now mentioned one man's name. So immediately mentioned the man's name, the crowd wow, you don't mess up. So he now responded and said, that man you mentioned is the man who single-handedly moved through the Atlantic Ocean. He said, but what you don't know is that the plane the man used was built by 5 billionaires. He said, and that plane was also driven by a particular pilot. So in the essence is every success you achieve is a combination of multi-talented people. So that thing Davido did is to pass a message that whoever you see that is shining, somebody is also supporting to make them shine. So that is my point.
The fact that he's actually humble. Like,
I don't know.
See, honestly, let me just say from my own perspective, Davido is a very, very humble person.
Have you believed it?
We are seeing him every day. We watch him every day.
Okay, how
the way he carries himself, the way he makes, even if he's going somewhere, he sees people. He does not take it like, oh, I'm a celebrity. He just feel like, okay, we are both humans.
And I would say he doesn't use his celebrity status to oppress.
Yes.
So that would give to him. He tried to still relate with the commoner, even though this guy wasn't born into a poor home. He was born into affluence, but had to come down from his high horse to relate with people. So that I would agree with you. So
do you think moments like this actually make celebrity more relatable to their fans?
Of course, and that thing he did would increase his ranking in people's playbook, especially the people who have seen him as
in Nigeria that can switch.
You know, especially when you are born into wealthy, that is also the same thing. DJ Copy is facing anytime she comes there, I go sit down, your papa get money. So, but Davido has found a way to navigate and weave his love into the heart of people. So, what you said is right. It will increase his ranking.
And also, I feel like the whole comparison should not be a thing.
I thought it's necessary. It's necessary. You
should
must compare. Yes, now how do you want them to sell their album?
So do you think it's them that is actually
it's two-way? I don't know if you saw when Portable came out, that fight Portable had with Kata Efe.
Yes.
That was when he came out to say it was calling someone's name that the person told him to break his Rolls Royce as a way of promoting the show. There was one that Portable with that guy. If you do how to deal with him secretly, go and cast you. There was also a time where he said some people came to his DM that more fight, more quarrel, so that chaos drag attention. So some of those fights are engineered, while some of those things are just organic, in the sense that maybe when you go to a show, somebody will say, I better come on, be Machala come sing. So things like that. Some of them are engineered, some of them are organic.
True. So let's just quickly take a look at the video. Let's watch the video and see exactly what happened before we just move into our next story. So let's just watch the video. Let's see for ourselves.
be working here, you can see them holding cameras. If I see you here one more time, I'm going to walk off the stage.
Okay, Solomon, you watched it, you've seen for yourself.
I have now. So I've exhausted my analysis on it. So
let's just leave the fans to decide what happened next. We will take a short break now. When we return, there is more on Top Trends. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Top Trends on S24 Morning Digest. Mr. Solomon, we're already digesting a lot, so let's just quickly move into our next story. So, drama as wife catches her husband's side chick attempting to sleep with him. This story.
But you guys say there's love in sharing.
Is there love in sharing?
There's love in sharing. No,
I don't think so.
Go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
If you watch that video, the woman was severely beating this girl.
Yeah.
Like, she was really beating this girl. And I was like, is this proper? Is this appropriate? Because the lady came to her house. I mean, I was like, what is she looking for in the woman's house? And the next thing was like, you want to sleep with my husband? I want to sleep with my husband.
And she was assaulting the lady.
What if she had died?
Okay. So the question would be that, how did she know is her husband's side chick? One.
Yes.
Secondly, what are her proofs that they've been sleeping with each other, or she comes for her to sleep with her? So that, I don't know. The clip is short for me to. The only thing I saw was that he was just pouncing on the lady, and the lady was not retaliating. Could it be they've had like an ongoing rift? Maybe she has been investigating. You know, ladies, you guys are, when it comes to when you go poking around to see who my husband has been chatting with. But I'm going to make my analysis based on many assumptions. Let's assume she has had a fact that the lady is sleeping with her husband. The question I would then ask would be, why take the law into your own hand? It's just because we live in a country where the law don't seem to be working, or is not as effective, or is only effective when they need it to be. Because that thing that lady is doing, she can go to jail for that. Because I saw some comment in the comment section where somebody said she needs to be sued. Like that lady that is being beaten, she needs to be sued, because if you have your evidence, you go to the court, present it in the court of law. Then she also have the right. You know, there's a what is it called? A popular phrase that you are innocent until proven guilty. So you just pounced on someone you presume to be sleeping with your husband. And the second question would be, even if they are now sleeping together, maybe your husband is supposed to face.
That is what I was like. The comment section, if you go through, people were like, are you supposed to hold this woman?
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
Are you supposed to be beat her?
This is what I've been saying about what we call Stockholm syndrome. So it's Stockholm syndrome, when people leave the major people who is oppressing them and they face somebody they can actually handle. Because you beating that lady, has it stopped your husband from cheating? It
doesn't.
So you don't try to, don't try to solve a problem that would never go away. The question is, maybe she should have a seat, a round table discussion with her husband that you won't marry second wife. I don't know the man's fate, because there's some fate that is legal for their fate. You can marry as much as 4, I believe. So why some fate it may not be. So if the man's fate permits that, is to now have a discussion to say, okay, my husband, did you need a second wife? let's do it the proper way. Or there are even some husbands that are so magnanimous enough to say, I want to pick a second wife. Go and check. Is this somebody you would like to live with? That people like that too. That will ask you, is this somebody you would like to live with? Is this somebody you would like to live with? Let's go. There is some husband that are that general. There are some that will just tell you, second wife is coming tomorrow.
Make sure you keep your things.
Like Gen Zs, I don't know if Gen Zs will agree. You guys, would you agree to
No,
that?
see, at some point, I would say that I understand how the woman
Felt, right?
Yes, but at the same time, I don't justify you beating that lady because in some cases you never know what's going on in other people's home.
Yes,
it could be that they have been struggling, probably feeding and everything, and now the husband is cheating.
Okay, I don't understand. Maybe the lady that they caught cheating has been struggling.
No, the wife in question. For example, you and your husband are going through thick and then you not see.
Maybe I even supporting financially.
And he goes out of his way to cheat on you. I feel like that alone.
Right?
And I don't know, but why don't you think that these women should hold their husband? Instead of affecting
the question I would like to ask you, can you really hold somebody that doesn't want to be? Can faithfulness be imposed? Let me ask you that question. Can you impose somebody to be faithful to you?
No, actually. So, but there are other ways.
Oh, juju. There's something they call magu. I don't know. I've heard of it. Magu is, I don't know if magu is they do that is like a voodoo.
Yes.
Where they put it at the entrance. When your partner crosses that thing and sleeps, goes to be unfaithful.
Yes.
The person, I don't know, they said the person would die, maybe crawl like a cock for 3 days and die, maybe die. Because which other way are you talking about?
But I feel like there are family meetings.
The question is okay, go ahead. Family meeting.
The family meeting.
So what happens?
You can call for a family meeting, invite both families, they sit down, talk, discuss. Whereas have a one-on-one conversation with that man. Okay. What's your problem? What's the issue? Okay. Why
are you sex starved?
Where are we getting it wrong? Is it that I cannot satisfy you, or there's something about me that is not really attracting you anymore? What can we do?
Should we change?
Should we change this? Should we
spice it up?
Can we even go for a session and learn things like that? You like try to find out and know what exactly is the issue. But her taking laws into her hands was not necessary.
Well, the only one I can speak for, I would not speak for the situation of the mind, but when it comes to marriage, there are many layered issues that you can't really have an accurate analysis of it until the people in question will tell you that this is actually you are facing. Every other thing you're going to be assuming. You're going to be assuming maybe that sex life is not great. You're going to be assuming maybe the woman is not in shape. You're going to be assuming maybe the woman is not living up to standard as a good wife. All those things are assumption. But based on the fact that we've seen now, which is her assaulting that lady, is wrong. And this is also, this thing has metastasized in our society where people love to take law into their own hand. I saw a clip on one day on social media. There's an Uber driver. He was driving and maybe was trying to negotiate a Benz, and somebody was driving in a Prado. I believe maybe the Uber driver caught him in front of that Prado guy.
Yes.
Instead of calling the guy, say, why do you drive recklessly like this? This guy in Prado, you immediately assume this is the guy is driving. What is it called? Corolla is an Uber guy. Is struggling. He brought out Koboko from his car and was whipping the Uber guy. So we live in an oppressive culture, and the oppressed are also oppressing others. So this is my own.
So if you discovered your partner was cheating,
which kind of question
let's take it personal now, because you can't really say it happens. So you cannot really say it happens.
I know.
So if you discover your partner was cheating, what would be the best way to handle the situation?
Well, I won't discover, but like I said, marriage is deep. Okay, when you say partner, is it boyfriend and girlfriend?
No,
because I don't believe if someone is a boyfriend, it's not a partner. Tomorrow, even if you've done introduction, it's not a partner. Tomorrow, if you wake up, say, God, I said yes before now, today no. But when it comes to marriage, I'm a deeply faith person. My religion, right, as is one of the laws in my religion is that one of the ways you can put out your partner is on the count of adultery. However, there is a place when it's talking about love being the ultimate. these things are deeper. There's no straight jacket approach to say it's just black and blue. When I can't chase away, there are too many layered issues to it. But what I would just say is, I hope it never happens to me. That's what I would say. Yeah. I pray and I hope it doesn't happen.
Mr.
To me.
Solomon.
So, but if you do, what would you do?
I don't know, but if I don't know, let me just go through that comment section. Like, if actually you read through it, you know that people were like, as a woman, you should not even bring yourself that low to go fight a fellow woman concerning your husband.
You don't even know that the person don't go learn karate.
And the lady was really struggling, and she was using her phone to hit her head and everything.
Karate as I come, you just do one thing and obituary.
They'll be like, a man that wants to stay with you will stay with you.
This is what I've said.
A man that wants to cheat.
Faithfulness. See, I need my generation to get this, and the generation that are coming behind me to get this. You can't impose faithfulness. This is what you can't coerce somebody to be faithful. You cannot force somebody to stick to you with you. Those things are personal decisions. And when they get to that crossroad where they've changed their allegiance, it is safer for you to let them go. Or else the consequence that will befall you may not live to tell the tale. Because somebody that loves you today, I don't know, can switch and start becoming your greatest enemy. You can't hold them. Do you get? So this is my this is my point.
But why do men?
Which one is why?
Why do men cheat?
Why do women cheat?
Actually, I don't know.
Why do women cheat?
I feel like, should we say the rate at which men cheat are higher than the rate at which women cheat?
Where are the statistics? Where are the statistics? And the men that you say the rate are they cheating with their fellow men?
It's with the women.
And so how do you now measure this?
So you want to say the both of them are
this society
women supporting?
See, just bring back shame. That's what we say. Just have dignity. Our society has lost shame. Do you know? But women even get into marriage now, prepare for that cheating thing. They will even tell, they say, as far as it will come back to me. So make it just continue. So, but me, I don't subscribe to cheating. I mean, I don't cheat.
And there's also, they will be like, go for what you want. Because some men will be like, maybe a lady was imposed on them. Probably at first she was chubby. She want a slim girl. You want this. Just go for what you want.
But you must also know that lust, you know, the law of economics say human wants are insatiable. Lust is also a gaping hole that cannot be filled. How do I mean? If you don't tame your lust, this is what I'm more passionate about young men, right? As a man, if you don't tame your appetite, it's not even man alone, the woman. If you don't tame your appetite, it will consume you. In the sense that you say you want a woman who is this spec. What happens when the woman changes in spec? So as a person, be it man, be it a woman, one of the things that makes you a high valued person, a high agency person, is how you've been able to curtail your desires, your lust, all of those tendencies you have in your flesh. If you don't curtail them, they consume you. Because in the end, how many women do you want to be sleeping with? So this is what I would say. Just have guardrails, have rules and regulation that surrounds your life. Yeah.
Like your principles and everything.
Yes, principle. You as a lady, if you are married, what are you doing with your ex?
I don't know. Why are you still texting?
What are you doing?
I can't do that because
I've seen many women say, I was friends with him before I met you. Why are you trying to cut me off? Stuff like that. So these are little
boundaries. There should be boundaries.
Yes, since you've gone to the altar to say forsaking all others.
Yes.
That thing is not just mere say, because the door you leave open today, you would use it. And believe you me, challenges happen. There are days where you wouldn't have kobo. If you see keeper of those those entry points, one day you just chat that your ex, after they bite me. Those are
maybe your wife have issue.
After block me, are they around your location, block me. And in your people most times, you see people who cheat most of the time. It's not as if all of them are bad though. Sometimes they're in their weakest moment. Maybe your husband has been out of job for 3 months and you're struggling to feed. All of a sudden, randomly, your ex just started you on X or on Facebook. I said, what's up now?
Should that be an excuse?
No, I'm just saying, really. What's up now? I was like, you don't think, you just forget me. You won't come, I come to your town, come do something. Don't block me here now. You're a vulnerable moment. If you are not so disciplined, you will fall. So the best thing is cut those things off.
And trust could be broken, because I see no reason that a man will cheat and I will still trust him. It takes the grace of God.
What about a woman?
It goes the same way.
Yeah, okay.
If your wife, cheats on you now,
don't say my wife, just somebody else.
See, you will not tell me that the 100% trust you have for her will still remain that 100%.
And more so, this marriage thing is interesting. Okay, let's dive deeper. More so, don't leave gaps that makes somebody struggle with trust. How do I mean?
Yes.
This is my personal, this is not rule, but these are my personal credence. I don't speak to a female around the person I got married to without putting on loudspeaker. It's not as if the person she is asking that you must. I just feel it just gives, number one, it puts you in check. You don't say stupid things you're not supposed to say. Secondly, it also increases accountability. She knows she doesn't have to go the extra mile to asking, hey, what did they discuss?
Who is that?
Because we humans, we are not God. We can't read your mind. Do you get? I can't read your mind. I don't know what you. So create principle. See, you're not strong. Do you think you're that disciplined? How much money have you seen in your life? If you that is cheating or not cheating, if somebody comes to you right now and said, Gladys, I know you're so in love with this guy, I know you guys are planning to get married, but I'm going to tell you, this is 100 million naira for you. Or, no, damn the 100 million, this is a blank check, write whatever you want to write. I'm going to give you a house in whatever country you want to go. And this is your guy that is holding on to a job of 200,000 naira.
Yes.
What would you do?
I would not stand with integrity.
You are saying you would not, but I can read through your eyes.
No, I would actually.
So the thing is, you brought something that's so important, which is trust. Trust is not a gift; it is earned. How do you earn trust? You earn trust by principle. How do I know that you are going to be on this show today? Because other times it's also been here. So trust is built by track record. So I think let's just not overflow.
This whole story has been very engaging and interesting.
So that is just it.
Let's just go on a quick break. Once we return, we'll dissect our next story. Stay with us. Welcome back. This has been Top Trends on S24 Morning Digest. Mr. Solomon, we've been having really engaging conversations
the woman
so
that
far.
will stick through thick and thin, even if they give out
I hope you guys have been enjoying the conversation.
I will mark this down. Yes.
So let's just quickly move into our next story.
Yeah.
Bashir Ahmed has called on MTN Nigeria and the Nigerian Communication Commission to explain a reported 56 gigabyte data usage in a single day.
Okay. This is saying it can't, that they are stealing his data or what?
Okay, he did, and according to what he said, he was not able to use it fully that day.
Yeah.
Was not really active.
Yes.
And suddenly,
and then they still wipe 56 gig data by. It's not even only Bashir Ahmed. There's also one guy too who is, I think he's petitioning MTN also that there's no transparency in how they deduct or how around data usage. So, well, MTN, as it were, right? It's not only MTN, other services. Let's talk, for example, the fuel we buy. 1 liter is actually 1 liter. So Nigeria, this is how I like to tackle issue. I don't like to tackle it using just one person. It's a systemic issue. How do I mean? I don't know if there are things you buy now, all those things are sealed. When you buy them and you open it, you discover that half of it is just air that is pumped into it. Our standardization process has been eroded. There's no checkmate. There's no system that checkmate all of these things. So let's now narrow it down to MTN, as it were, because I've had my fair share of that experience. Though MTN has reached out to say you should just give them the number that has been affected and the rest. What I would say is MTN should publish a public record. Let us know how our data is being. Yes. Because if I'm downloading something of 1 gigabyte, There's no reason why when I'm done downloading it, I've exhausted 2 gigabytes. So if you want to know, this is what I would say, that MTN should release an article or
track record.
Not necessarily track record. They just be open. Let us know how there should be a clear policy around data usage, because some people even also have that guy that is petitioning them, also advocating for the fact that there should be no reason why data bonus should exhaust particularly to that. It should be that it should only be exhausted according to how it's being used. So it's not that I subscribe 1 month and that 1 month finishes. It should be that it is being deducted based on how it is being used. So my point is there's no transparency. And it's not only MTN, other service providers are also culpable of that.
And you mentioned something about fuel.
Yes.
I remember watching a video and the man was like, he wanted to get it, wanted to get fuel, and he had to stand there to make sure they put it, because there have been series of...
Even if you stood there and they pumped it into your... Have you seen those gallons that they say it's 5 liters? If you buy 5 liter, like from the filling station, right? It's still not I don't know how they measure that. I don't know how they measure that thing, because 1 liter is not 1 liter.
It's not 1 liter.
If we want to deal with standardization, if we go into it from the system, like everything must be standardized, not just MTN. Everything, if I'm saying I'm buying 1 kg or 50 kg of bag of rice, it should be 50 kg. I say I'm measuring it and I'm saying 45 kg. So this is what I'm saying, like our system, our metrics of measurement has been tampered with. There's no standardization. So this is my point.
And I feel this is your field, so you know more.
I don't
know more
I'm also struggling with the data as you are
A
struggling.
lot of people have been complaining about this data usage. A lot. I've seen a lot of complaints. You just do your maybe 1 gig before you even on your data.
It's already 500 MB.
And
somebody was crying, right? Somebody laid similar complaint that he went to UK and he has been using 2 gigabytes for a week. And boy, will come to
Nigeria. It's a different case.
And 50 gigabytes cannot survive 2 days. So like I said, but then somebody responded under the comment section that the cost of running a business in Nigeria is very stifling, difficult. Except, for example, to power their masts, they are using diesel, which is very expensive. You know, we talk about fuel, how fuel is very expensive. The cost of running business is just skyrocketing. So something must give. Maybe they also, I'm not saying I don't have a proof, maybe they've also found a way around to game the system so that they also make profits. Things like that.
And a lot of people were happy that this is affecting Bashir. Because like when he was in government,
right, going by somebody like Bashir's status, I don't think that thing has a negative financial effect on him. I think he's just speaking up because it will also help other people to speak up. But be quite frankly, Bashir can afford it. He's not struggling.
MTN even replied to him.
The major people we should be advocating for are the struggling guys who cannot. Maybe Bashir even has other Starlink, he has other network provider. He's not really struggling. It is the guys that maybe as some people as are even watching this, streaming this program, maybe they're even streaming on based on borrowed data.
Sad truth. Sad truth.
So that is it really.
But I feel Nigerians, like if you go on the way they were just telling him that it's good for him, now he can see how we have been relating to this thing. He's not.
Let me tell you, he's not feeling anything. He's not in the same economic cadre with this. The guys are struggling, so that is just dead. That.
So, what steps can Nigeria take to independently monitor and verify their data usage?
Is it okay? I'm saying the only thing Nigerians can do is to say, okay, this is how many things I've downloaded. That is just on their own end. Nigerians must be privy to the back end about how the data is being used. So that is it.
And there are apps too that you can actually turn off. If you go to your settings,
what I'm saying is, yes, of course, but maybe that runs in the background. But even after we've seen cases where you've done all of those and your data is still going, like they're still being drained without you can't track it. So what I'm saying is they should give us like a clear way of how data is being used. They should give us how are you debiting the data, how are you draining the data. They should come and publish it. Yes, let us know. Then we open that, let us see the thing. So that is just it.
So are Nigerians getting value for the money they spend on mobile
No.
data? Because I'm not getting any.
I'm not. To one answer, no, we are not. Data now is taking like maybe 50% of your monthly income. You are subscribing, and yet you're not getting the value for it. So no.
One word for Nigerians concerning data usage.
God, I beg.
Says God, I beg. Because we cannot stop. We have to use it.
Of course, now especially Gen Zs, they can't stay away from that.
Those Gen Zs, particularly everyone needs to buy this. So let's just quickly go into our final story for the day. So this says lady confronts an elderly man for harassing her inside the bus, but another passenger tells her to let the matter slide. She should let the matter slide. Why should she? When I saw it, it was disheartening because I feel like
and that when I saw the
cases,
clip, right?
Yes.
At first, and this is not me making excuse for the man, because I saw the way the man was looking, except maybe he's deliberately acting.
Yes.
When I saw the man, I felt maybe the man is mentally challenged because he was looking like,
and he was not even freaked out.
That's what I said. He wasn't flinching even when, and he was taking his hand. And firstly, I must commend the lady for how she handled herself. I
was really scared for her. Probably he might use his hand
I wasn't
to
really
hit her.
scared because there are people around, so I wasn't scared. But I commended the lady on how she handled herself. She handled herself perfectly. But I don't understand, is the man mentally deranged? Because he was the man, if I should guess his age, the man could be around maybe 60 years or so. And he was busy, sexually harassing the lady, trying to touch her in an appropriate manner. And this is the reason why I still repeat that the laws does not work in Nigeria. That is why most people, when they go to same countries, they find themselves incarcerated in prison. Because in other Senate claims, there are ways where if you just send messaging inappropriately to a lady, they can sue you for sexual assault. I heard of a case of a guy, I don't know if it's in UK or US, where he just told his colleague, you look beautiful today. The lady reported him for sexual assault and he lost his job. Yes, is that serious? Because that is an unsolicited gesture. She's not your girlfriend, she's not your wife. Why are you telling her she's beautiful? Are you nursing any ulterior motive? That is how strict.
But in Nigeria, that was
somebody even grabbing somebody inappropriately, and some people even say, you two do now, not only hold you.
Yes.
So the laws is not that strict in Nigeria.
And to the person that says she should let it slide, what can you say?
If I insist, I ain't gonna let her slide. So this is how, if that man is comfortably doing that thing publicly, what will he do if he found that girl in the dark corner alone? That person is a walking pervert. So he's supposed to be bundled to jail, because this is a lady who, at least to a certain extent, can defend herself. What about if this man is found around a young lady that is not, maybe the lady is just 12 years, maybe you would have pounced on her. So that tells you that many are mad, but few are roaming.
Let's just watch the video. Let's take a close look on that video. Let's watch the video and see.
Wait, me Baba stay house. Lock up. I bet make I lock up for waiting. This old man. Make I lock up. They use and drop my leg. Make I come lock up. Agbalagba ni won na. O si mama se ru awon ko be. Na nonsense. I
thought this is father.
My father my father no fit do that kind this kind thing. I'm saying my father don't die safe. As I don't enter this car, now you don't do am. I don't look at me. Because I wear bomb shots for night. It's because it's the night. Now that's why I know it's today. It's because it's the night.
Just said, many are mad, few are roaming. So that is it. And to my ladies, please be. I'm trying to, because this is a sensitive topic, and if I don't present my words women will come at me, especially feminists. But I want to say, firstly, understand how dangerous the society is, and please try and protect yourself. I mean, they have what they call this thing now, this self-protective, like a taser. Those electric, just go. I mean, you understand the world. We are not living in an ideal world. We are living in a very disorganized world. So you must try to arm yourself with things within the ambit of the law that can still protect you. So go around with even pepper spray. Yes, all of those things are things that can just protect you in the heat of maybe when you hold that taser as it's bringing its crazy hand, just.
And to think that some Nigeria girls were still bashing at that. Look at what she wore.
I don't want to go there.
Like, look at what she wore.
If she dressed,
does this still give the man an edge to touch her inappropriately?
That is why I didn't go to that route, because you have no business touching her. She's not your wife. She's not your daughter. So whatever she wears, that is on her own. That's her own cup of tea. That doesn't give you the leeway to harass her. So this is my point.
So many cases have happened like this, and many people, let it slide. According to what someone said, just leave it, let it slide. And this is how our society is turning into another thing.
Of course.
Imagine several cases similar to this has happened, both for the males and for the females. And people are not speaking up, probably because of fear, probably because of discrimination. Or
you had cases where guys were raped and people were like, enjoy stuff, crazy stuff like that, because in our society, men don't speak up that they are being raped. Similar to ladies, when they speak, and the next question they ask is, "What do you find good?
What did you go get?"
Stuff like that. Yeah.
I watched the video, and this girl, she came to her mom. I think it's 8.
Okay.
She came to her mom like, "Mommy, so a man touched me inappropriately and everything." The woman was like, where? She immediately entered inside, took her cutlass, and let's go. And they posted the video. People were like, wow, they really commend this woman, because we know African mothers, some African mothers might have said, what did you go and look for there? How did he know you? How did he get to see you? What happened? And this has made so many children traumatized.
Blaming the victim.
Yes, and in any case that might happen or occur again, they won't speak up.
Yeah, I get your point. If left for me, I would say two truths can coexist in the way that even if you want to caution her on unnecessary movement, that is not the appropriate time, right? Because what the deed has been done and it is not good, it is not advisable. So deal with that irresponsible person who is trying to molest the person, who has molested the person. When you are done with that, you can now deal with the issue of, okay, this is how you comport yourself in society. Don't go to where you are. Go with someone, stuff like that.
So what are the appropriate actions you think the government should put in place?
Just anybody that is found guilty, don't spare them, jail them. When you put a stringent rule around these things, people will behave. So this is my point.
So where do we draw the line between respecting elders and holding people accountable?
Elders are meant to be respected, but elder that is found guilty, elder should respectively go to jail. It's also part of respect.
And I'm sure his children might have seen that video.
It's a shame. Anyway.
And his wife, probably, if he has one.
They should also respectively call him to order. Respect does not mean somebody is immune to law. I can respectfully deal with you within the ambit of the law. So respect does not remove the fact that law should take its course. Yeah.
If you're in that bus,
I wouldn't be in that bus.
What would you have done? Would you have intervened or just let it slide? According to that young guy, let it slide.
I think I would try and
the fact that everybody was so chilled for my liking, like everybody was so calm. Nobody really stood up to say what's going on here. Why would you do this? Why would you do that? Everybody was just so calm.
I feel bad. If you ask me, Gladys, I feel Nigerians, and this may be serious, I feel we as a Nigerian, right, we've been battered on so many sides to even care about others anymore. How do I mean? An average young man you see on the street might be bulking under the weight of house rent, the weight of joblessness, the weight his health is crumbling, he can't even pay his bill. So in the weight of that pain, you're expecting him to stand up for others. That I'm not saying that should erode your empathy, but I'm saying Nigerians are going through too many things to even care about their neighbors. So this is my point. So some people even see in that bus, they may be battling so many things. So Nigerians are, in this season, we are going through a lot, really. to care about others. So this is what I would say. We are going through a lot. I mean it.
But I feel people might particularly say because he's an elderly person, we might not likely to speak up or some respect.
Our culture is a bit when it comes to handling misbehavior. Our culture is a bit lenient on elders, and I don't want to say I understand. This is how I will address this. If I'm in a situation where an elder is misbehaving, the thing I would do if I was in that shoe would be that I'll find a fellow elder who is reasonable, because you can't. Every society must have one person.
Somebody, yes.
So find a reasonable elder. Say, Daddy, this thing where this man they do, it not really make sense. Make your help talk to him, because sometimes you must also understand that respect should not be thrown out of the window in any situation. This is a sign that you are well trained, you are well brought up. I've seen cases where young people go mad, misbehave, insult elders. I would not recommend that. I would not recommend that, because respect is still, no matter how the society is still crumbling, you still need to uphold the value of respect as a younger person. This speaks to both the millennials and the Gen Z. Learn to address things respectively. On no account should you disrespect anybody. This is my take.
But what if that was a severe case?
That's why I said.
All these recent stories we've heard, videos we've been seeing online with thieves, them catching thieves.
Okay. Now how do we respect
and I related it to that or something like that.
Yeah, I get your point.
So if that was this, okay, let's also say that was a young person.
Maybe that guy that was trying to harass that
the other man was a very young person.
They will have pounced on him now. They will have pounced on him. So that is it. To men, that's why I say in Nigeria or in Africa, as well, elderly people really, they are more lenient on them when it comes to misbehavior. You just try to excuse them now. Now, mama, you be now. Just now, papa, you be. No disrespect you that much. So that's our culture. That's how I brought up.
So one advice for that girl, because probably she might go home and
please go anywhere. Going, be protected. Because sadly, so this is the society we are in. Just go protect. As a man now, ideally, I'm supposed to be able to be free to move around anywhere, but I understand that we are not in the same society, so I try to avoid some areas. So yeah.
And this made me just remember a story of one woman saying, because of all these whole men abusing young girls, even their own maybe cousin or niece or something. Yeah, and this one she's an aunt and her brother was assaulting his own niece, that's her daughter. And when she found out, she was, instead of her to focus on the man, why are you doing this? You're beating your child.
No, that one is wrong. Is wrong or not?
She was beating her child and she told, carry. The kid was like, Mommy, uncle is always coming. He's my uncle. You cannot say there should be this thing. He's my uncle. There are certain, relationship I share with him. And this young man have been assaulting your daughter. And the only thing you could do is to beat your daughter while the man goes scot-free. So what's your 2 cents on that?
That is a symposium discussion that I believe when next week.
What's your 2 cents? Just drop. Just drop one line. What's your 2 cents?
No, that is bad on all fronts, to be sincere. And I'm not making it lightly. It's bad. And this is what you see on a daily basis in an African home. Parents, you've even seen cases where the man is assaulting his own child and the mother, in a bit to cover it up, pounced on the child.
Yes.
So it's bad on all fronts, really. That's my 2 cents.
Well, we've been having a lot of insightful conversation and it has been great so far. Thank you so much for staying with us. And this is where we draw the curtain for today. It has been a great conversation, as I said earlier, and we hope we've given you something to think about. Thanks to our guest, Solomon, and to everyone watching out there. I am Gladys Asuko, and this has been Top Trends on S24 Morning Digest. See you on the next episode. Bye for now.
The Lake Chad region, spanning Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon, has remained one of Africa's most volatile security flashpoints. despite years of military campaigns against terrorist groups such as Boko Haram and ISWAP. Although governments have recorded several battlefield victories, violence continues to claim lives and displace millions. So, why has achieving lasting peace become an almost impossible task? One of the biggest drivers of insecurity is the shrinking of Lake Chad itself. Over the past decades, the lake has dramatically reduced in size, depriving millions of fishermen, farmers, and herders of their primary source of income. As poverty deepens, extremist groups find it easier to recruit frustrated young people with promises of money and purpose. Experts often say terrorism thrives where governments fail to provide opportunities. Many unemployed youths become vulnerable to radicalization, especially in communities where education, healthcare, and jobs are scarce. Another challenge is poor governance. Citizens often lose confidence in governments they believe have failed to deliver security and basic services. This trust deficit creates fertile ground for criminal gangs and insurgent movements. The four Lake Chad countries share thousands of kilometers of poorly monitored borders. Terrorists frequently move across these borders to evade security forces, making coordinated military operations difficult. Another major issue is the continuous flow of weapons into the region. The collapse of Libya in 2011 triggered an influx of illegal weapons across the Sahel. Many of these arms eventually found their way into the hands of insurgents operating around the Lake Chad, and this, of course, gave the insurgents more grit to sustain the fight against security forces. One big question that has remained on the lips of many is if indeed there is an end in sight. Over the years, security experts have argued that military action alone cannot end terrorism. Governments must invest in education, infrastructure, agriculture, and employment while rebuilding trust with affected communities, and the communities themselves must also be willing to partner with relevant authorities to protect the dignity and sanctity of their lands. Without addressing the root causes of extremism, military victories may only provide temporary relief.
See, my sister will soon go off now, and we've not had light for almost 5 days.
It's you that is complaining, Rich people like us, we have solar. When the solar is off, we buy fuel.
Nigeria, my country, what kind of problem is this? And drivers are also complaining that fuel prices keep rising and people cannot even afford to pay. You see people trekking long distances.
People will afford it because they have to go to work. How do they get to work? Drivers should just increase the transportation fare. They will manage.
After all, Nigerians who can adapt, suffering and smiling. And then another thing, ASU, we're about to go on strike again.
Wahala for who they go government school. People are now putting their children in private school. You're still talking about government. See, Didi, you're the one that is complaining. Me, I'm thinking of making it big.
You make it big, as a common and a poor person, what will I do? I leave Nigeria with this problem.
You see, it's so unfortunate how Nigerians often just adapt, even when the situation is extremely inconvenient. Many people prefer to adjust and survive rather than hold their leaders accountable for the country's economic hardship and poor governance. From rising fuel prices to expensive goods, bad roads, unstable electricity, and challenges in the system, citizens continue to endure and move on as if suffering has become normal. After the removal of fuel subsidy in 2023, petrol prices rose from about 185 per litre to over 1,000. Even the gas is now about 2,000 naira. These also increased transportation costs and the prices of food and basic goods. Inflation rose above 30% in 2024, making life more difficult for average Nigerians. Yet, instead of demanding better policies and accountability, many people simply adapt by finding side hustles, cutting expenses, relocating, or managing hardship daily. Nigerians are naturally resilient too, and hardworking, but resilience should not replace responsible leadership. Citizens deserve good infrastructure, stable economic policy, quality education, affordable living, and leaders who truly address the problems facing the country instead of leaving people to keep adapting to hardship.
Welcome to yet another edition of the Sport Desk, where the headlines are not only the beginning as we take a look at what happened, why it matters, and what comes next in the world of sports. I'm your host, Udokan Godspa. On today's conversation, we will be taking a look at the Super Falcons' 2-1 defeat to Banyana, bringing their World Cup qualification hopes to a disappointing close. We'll also turn to Cristiano Ronaldo, who is back at Al Nassr and chasing one of the most remarkable milestones in football. We'll then round things off by previewing the Arsenal versus Manchester City game as the two Premier League giants prepare to battle for the Community Shield once again. 3 big stories with some important questions to answer. Joining me on the desk this morning is my colleague Stephen. Good morning, Stephen. How are you doing today?
Good morning, brother. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Has it been coming here this morning?
Stressful, but
you're all smiling. You're all smiling this morning. I think you are really excited for the conversation.
Yeah, my favorite player is going to be talked about today. So,
and we'll also be talking about our very own Super Falcons, which
that one's not part of the smile, though. I don't know.
It's
a disappointing one, but let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So we'll be starting right here at home with the Super Falcons. I mean, 5 days ago, they got knocked out of the WAFCON by Cameroon, losing in the quarterfinal 1-0 to Cameroon. We had that discussion in one of our episodes here. That game came with the automatic qualification tickets to the World Cup that will be held in Brazil, which obviously due to the loss we failed. We had another route, which was through the playoffs, and we had to beat South Africa's Banyana yesterday to go through that route, but we failed. We lost 2-1. I mean, how do you feel about the results from yesterday's game?
To be very honest, it was very, very disappointing for me because I expected much more from the Super Falcons, and you've lost already at a major competition, which takes like South Africa match was the only match that could take them to the World Cup, and they had a very disappointing performance
at the WAFCON.
At the WAFCON, it was a very, very disappointing performance against South Africa. I didn't even expect them to even score that one goal, and it was.
We had so much high hopes on them winning that game yesterday, but I mean the disappointment was.
It was just too much. I feel like that's what I always say. The problem now, we've seen the problem. We can now say that we can now tell ourselves that this is where the problem is coming from. And for me, the problem is coming from the team. They are not ready. I don't think the players are ready to give in what it takes to be the called champions anymore. Because the last time we had this result was like 1991 or something, and now look at us struggling. Are we now struggling to win? Is that the question we should be asking ourselves as a team? Like, is the Super Falcons now struggling with the kind of talent they have in that team, and we're now described as someone struggling, and they know the kind of let's just say the kind of rivalry we have with the Bafana.
Yes.
We went to play that game.
Both from the men's side and the
women's
all round.
In general,
yes, all round.
South Africans and Nigerians
we are not. Yes, we are not always in good terms. We are always giving ourselves last.
Now in football, it says it all for the Nigerian.
I mean, let's just talk about the Women's FIFA World Cup. Since its inaugural tournament in 1991, so the Super Falcons have always been there. They haven't missed a single World Cup before. This is going to be the very first time in the competition history that the Super Falcons will not be there. I mean, so disappointing, right?
Very disappointing, my brother. Very disappointing. They didn't play to what I expected them to play yesterday night.
Did you watch the game?
I watched half of it, but when we were already beating us 2-0, and I was like, no more hope until I saw the 9 minutes penalty. I was like, who does that?
I noticed that in recent times with the Super Falcons, their games have always been going that way. Like from the WAFCON, we go into the game, we can't score. Eventually, we are conceding late in the match. From like the 55 minutes, 70-something minutes. Then towards the end, we now see them starting to try to put up a fighting spirit to come back. I mean, is this an issue with players, tactics, or something else?
All of the above. All of the above. If they had won this match, I would have said it's tactics. But for me now, it's all of the above. Because if you are going to play a tactical game as a team, you will need to know each role you are playing in that game. You don't come, if you're coming as a defender, you should be in the defense. If you're coming as a defensive midfielder, you know you're playing both the defense and the midfield at the same time. If you're coming as a central midfielder, if you're coming as a striker. But everybody now ignored their own main role and started forcing themselves to the front to attack, leaving the back empty.
I mean, I didn't watch the game, so I don't.
The women, I will not say they played an impressive game because they were not competing. They were just playing like they felt like they were going to be South Africa.
Okay.
But look at the results now. That's the same way they felt against Cameroon. Cameroon disappointed them.
But how are you sure that that's how they felt? Because it looked like they were actually, after the Cameroon disappointment, it looked like they were actually serious and ready to go to Casablanca yesterday and trash the South Africans. But I mean,
you can have a serious game. You can have a serious mindset and bring a different game to the ball. You know, you're playing in the world of sport. You know, anything can happen, and then you're coming to play football, and you're coming in with your resilience. You're coming in with your strength. You're coming with everything. You're coming to giving everything it takes, and then you get to the pitch, and it's just playing you. You're not playing for the team. You're playing for yourself. I'll say it's a very disappointing one because we needed a win. We needed to go to the World Cup and compete and show them that we're ready to compete on the global stage. And we had a very disappointing performance. I didn't expect this from the Super Falcons, giving it their champions.
Yes, given the pedigree of players we have and the team here. Okay, the Super Eagles also failed to go to the just concluded World Cup, and now the Super Falcons are following in that footstep. Do you think this is an issue in Nigerian football? Do you think there's an issue in Nigerian football? Bear in mind, we've been having these cases where you see these players, while they are in camp for training, they come out to say, oh, the NFF are owing them certain settlements or certain promises that were made from winning previous competitions. It happened with the Super Falcons. It has been happening with the Super Eagles. Do you think these issues are what is leading to these poor results we are now seeing on the field of play with the both senior national teams for Nigeria?
What you just said now is what I'll say cost the commitment of the players. What you just said now made it clear that the players are
not committed due to this.
You know, if you have a problem, if no matter how small a problem is, once that problem is there and you cannot solve that problem is going to become a bigger problem for you. If you indicated now that they had issues with finances and
they came out to.
That's what affects the players. It now gives a different mindset of, are we competing for making money, and then the money is, we're not seeing the result of what we are doing. We as Nigerians, what we are looking for is champions. We need the cup, we need the trophy, we need our name to be put out there. But the players are not only play for the old team and representing the country, this is also a source of their income.
Yes.
And if a source of their income is tampered with, it's going to affect their commitments. They will no longer be committed. Everybody will play whatever they like on the field. So that is also a problem. So that apart from that, there's also tactical problem. There's also problem from the coach. If that kind of problem is happening, the coach is supposed to step up. This is where the coach has to step up, because you can't promise a player
Is he stepping up in terms of interfering with the financial issues, or you mean tactically and maybe with how they play on the pitch?
Both ways, because he's their mouthpiece to the board, to the NFF board. He's the mouthpiece. Whatever the players are going to say, he's the one that's going to take it to the board. Apart from the captain, he also has one of the say to the board. So if the players are feeling this way and they are unable to express themselves, and then the coach cannot do anything about it.
I feel like they're expressing themselves, because we see them come out and make mention of all these things, but at the end, we don't see the NFF or any meaningful response to their complaints.
The NFF needs to look into this, because if we're going through any competition and this kind of problem continues to trigger, it's going to affect our performance. And once it starts down our performance, because if you can allow it to affect their performances and then the next thing you start thinking about is scouting for new players, the problem will keep reciprocating. It will keep coming in.
As long as the root has not been dealt with,
the problem will keep topping. And once the problem gets to an extreme end, the Nigerian Football Federation.
So what would you say, looking at the Super Falcons now, what would you say it's there for us in the future,
we have the
given
talent.
what has happened?
We have the talents, honestly. We have the talents, we have the players, we lack the mindsets. But there's still a greater future for us. They need to fix all the problems, not half of the problems, not one of the problems, not a bit of the problems. They need to fix all the problems generally.
Tactical wise, do you think we need a change in the coaching staffs for the Super Falcons?
If you keep changing coach, it will not change the mindset of the players. The players need to build their trust around
a certain
distance. So I will not say changing coach will change the mindset of the players. They need to work on the problems. Once a player starts facing, the team starts having that kind of internal problems, it will affect their gameplay. Match continue 2 goals and then he went to 90 minutes to score penalty. We had to use penalty to have 1 goal.
1 goal. Something that has happened, I think it happened in our previous, not the game against Cameroon, but one of our game also, we had to, I think the one against Malawi, where we were losing 3-1, we had to now start scoring late in the game also. It's something that we've seen quite often in recent games with the Super Falcons.
But it will be so sad for me. It's so sad for me to see Nigeria not compete in the World Cup now, and they need to improve in everything. Once your players or your team members or any player in general is not well taken care of, it's going to affect the progress of the team.
So do you think it's a joint responsibility, or it's just something the NFF, the coaching staff should work on? Are the players okay, or you think the players also need to?
Everyone needs to work on everything. If they start saying this work on this work on that, this work on that, there's still a problem that will be left behind. But everybody needs to bring in joint collective effort to work together. I wish them all the best. This is really disappointing, but it's my country. They represented us. I know that they will come out stronger, because no matter what the problem is, no matter how big the problem is, there's always a solution. So they will come out stronger.
I mean, no matter what happens, as Nigeria, will always continue to support our very own national teams. If it's the Super Eagles, the Flying Eaglets, we'll always continue to support them. Let's hope that they can put this disappointment behind them and bounce back quickly. I think we have the African Cup of Nations coming up next as a major global competition, aside from the World Cup, which we have obviously missed out on. Let's now quickly move on to our next conversation for the day, which is centered around Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo. So this was what triggered our conversation today. Yesterday, Fabrizio Romano posted this tweet on X saying Cristiano Ronaldo has returned to Al Nassr training ground ready for new season. 1,000 goals milestone, another big mission. I mean, let's start with what we saw at the World Cup. Portugal didn't play so well at the World Cup. We had this issue where a player's girlfriend came online to say Cristiano Ronaldo was not supposed to be in that squad. He's too old. He should have retired. I mean, coupled with all of that and a lot of negativity around the whole squad, their World Cup performance was terrible. They got knocked out, I think, in the round of 16. Spain, the eventual champions, were the ones who knocked them out. I mean, what do you make of Portugal's performance at the World Cup before we dive deep into Cristiano Ronaldo personally?
Portugal's performance at the World Cup was disappointing as a team and as a country. Portugal, I had high hopes in them. I really felt.
I mean, we all thought that this was going to be the year.
They were going to go far.
Yeah, they do.
And which they had talents there. They had Vietnam, they had Bruno Fernandes, they had Bernardo Silva, they had Cristiano Ronaldo, they had Rafael Liu, they had Neto, even
good quality players.
RIP to Diogo Jota. Who was also supposed to be part of the squad.
Yeah.
So at the performance of Portugal as a team, it was very disappointing. But Ronaldo, I would say, tried. You know, if you look at Ronaldo's story, let's start with Ronaldo's background story. We all know he's an hardworking footballer and he's an inspiration to every young generation. Millions of people.
Not just footballers, young children.
Ronaldo won Champions League with Manchester United. When he started with Madrid, I think 2007 or 2008. 2008, he won the
before he left for Madrid.
Champions League with Manchester United. Real Madrid signed him in 2009. He won about 5 Champions Leagues with Real Madrid within his 9 years of Real Madrid before he eventually went to Juventus and won the league with Juventus. Then went back to Manchester United trying to win the Champions League again, but it wasn't successful before he got signed to El Nassr. If you look at Ronaldo's journey, you see he's a 5 times Ballon d'Or winner. He had a 10 years race with
Lionel Messi,
who is also a 8 times.
I mean, the GOAT debate.
Which even caused a lot of players to not see the limelight. The likes of Neymar Jr., Mohamed Salah, a lot of inspiring talent like Ruben
very well, but
a lot of players, even Ibrahimovic, the Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who could not even because a lot of players could not even come to the spotlight because of the two goals. Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes.
As watch Cristiano Ronaldo also inspired me to play football. I liked his, especially when he's on pitch, his ginger to players, his resilience. So looking at his age now, he still has that resilience. He doesn't have that much strength in him. He doesn't have that much power in him. But one thing he has in him is resilience. He still wants to compete.
The mentality is still there.
The mentality is still there. But age-wise, he's old already. But he's still a player that people will still look up to. Reaching the 1,000 goal milestone is possible. He's on 976.
Let's not even get into that. That should be a whole conversation on its own. I mean, let's continue to look at his career. His move to Al Nassr was a breakthrough for the Saudi Pro League. That was a league that I don't think that league existed. I don't think that league existed in my mind until Ronaldo went.
Remember when he went to Serie A? DST was not showing Serie A.
We made mention of his effect at Serie A. I think he has had that same effect.
He's the most followed person on Instagram.
In the Saudi Pro League. We've seen a lot of quality high professional players moving to the Saudi Pro League after he went there.
His celebrations also. Talk about his celebrations. He brought the
to the whole Saudi fans and all of that. I mean, what would you say? What do you have to say about his effect in the Saudi Pro League? I mean, has him going there has his move to the Saudi Pro League now make the league more interesting to you? I mean, we've seen it get aired in television now. People like the DSTV and other broadcasting services now air the Saudi Pro League.
Okay, to me, yes, he brought a very, very good influence. Imagine now, I even saw him play with the likes of Mane, El Nassr. So he was the one who brought the influence to the Saudi
Pro League. Okay,
because I was always on the lookout for Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes,
he is a big name.
Okay,
and he will still be a big name.
All right. We'll continue this conversation. Let's just quickly go for a break. The conversation continues right after this break. Welcome back from that break. And if you're just joining us, this has been Sports Desk right here on S24 Morning Digest. I've been having an interesting conversation with my colleague Stephen. We'll dive right back into it so you keep enjoying the conversation. Stephen, we are back once again. Our discussion was centered around Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's just quickly move on to another question I have. He's 41. Do you think we've seen the consistency, the mentality, the persistency with Cristiano Ronaldo? Do you think what we've seen with him now gives us a new benchmark to judge other players with? Other upcoming players?
Honestly, yes, because look at his age. He's still competing. He played his he just completed his
sixth World Cup.
Cup, so he's still competing. That shows that he's a player that is determined. People might say he's old, he's no longer reigning and all. But
he was not going to the World Cup to just go and play. He was actually going to win.
For you to reign for over 10 years shows that you are a player of high expectation. I watched him when I watched what was that? Ronaldo inspired me when he was playing for Real Madrid. I watched this game and I saw him, even the likes of Kylian.
That's your club,
a lot of that's my goal, honestly.
That's your club, so
that's my goal. I stopped watching Madrid game when Ronaldo moved to Juventus. That was one of the news that broke my heart.
Even as a Real Madrid fan?
I was not really watching Real Madrid game again. I had to, I liked Ronaldo. And sometimes Real Madrid might be playing and Juventus is playing. I don't watch.
So does it mean you did not support Real Madrid when he was not there? You started supporting Real Madrid when he went there?
I started supporting Real Madrid, yes, around when he went there.
Okay.
That was when I started supporting
Real Madrid. So I can understand why. So that Ronaldo inspired a lot of young players, even the likes of Kylian Mbappe. If you remember, there was one. I don't call him his idol. Kylian Mbappe has come out to actually call him his idol severally.
A lot of players, even the ones that have not yet come out, see Ronaldo as their idol.
Okay,
because it might not have. I might not say he's much of a talent. But you see the hard work,
the dedication there, and
dedication and everything to build a talent. Not like the football was a talent for him. He just used whatever it takes to build that talent for himself. And he
so unlike Messi, that football was a talent for him. Cristiano Ronaldo had to work his way to. Is that what you're saying?
No. Messi is a beast.
Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm not going to say that. Don't bring out words from my mouth. Don't bring out that kind of words from my mouth. For me, Cristiano Ronaldo. I followed more of Cristiano Ronaldo's story than Leo Messi's story.
Okay.
I know Leo Messi is a very great player. Emphasis on very. He's a great player. He has a very good record. He has the World Cup. I think he has Champions League, 1 or 2 Champions League.
Yeah, he has a couple.
He has the Spanish League. But something about Messi that I didn't really follow was Messi was not much of a competitive player. He stayed at one particular place. He stayed with Barca. He was in Barca for a very long period of time. If you look at Ronaldo's journey, Ronaldo started from Manchester United, went to Real Madrid, went to Juventus, went back to Man U before he went back to El Nassr. Sporting CP. What am I even saying?
Yes,
that was Sporting CP. Yes. He went to Manchester United. Look at the stories. He played in different leagues and he dominated all those leagues. That was gave me a likeness to Ronaldo. But Messi was just in the Spanish La Liga dominating. But Ronaldo went to different leagues. He dominated in Premier League. He dominated in the Serie A. He dominated in the Spanish La Liga.
I mean, okay,
he's dominating in the Saudi.
We can argue that, but Messi actually moved to at least he went to the French League 1 before eventually now moving to the MLS. We've seen him test a couple of leagues, and he has also dominated in those leagues.
That's what I said. He dominated in those leagues. Did he dominate in League 1?
League 1, yes. He performed very well for PSG.
Yeah, he met
even in the Champions League.
Former football player, Neymar.
Neymar was there, yes.
They had a very good chemistry and with Mbappe, but that was a very, very incredible story. But stories that you start from somewhere and gradually you are making names in different progress. That was for
Cristiano Ronaldo, yes.
He did not see. He had a lot of critics. He had a lot of there was a time he went on. He had a very injury that affected his knee. That he went for a while. Then he came back and he came back. He had like lesser goals in that Champions League. Was it 2017 Champions League? Then he came back and then he dominated Champions League and he became the highest goal scorer for Champions League. Someone that just came back from injury with how many goals he had behind him, then he came back and then he became the highest goal scorer in that Champions League. Those are the kind of stories people want to hear. People want to hear those kind of stories that you're coming from one particular side and then you came back and you're dominating. That was a story for Cristiano.
Ronaldo.
For Lionel Messi has always been dominating, but Ronaldo went and dominated.
Let's actually go back to our core headlines for the day. So he's back in Al Nassr training. We all know that their season starts very soon. I think this weekend. He's currently on 976 career goals. He has publicly said his aim is to reach 1,000 goals. Do you think Ronaldo at 41 has to?
Why do you say do you think? You're not supposed to. You don't even.
I'm not supposed to say do you think? Okay.
Will you see Ronaldo scoring?
He's 41. He's 41. I mean,
you know, okay, it's a very good question. He has 24 goals left to reach.
24 goals, yes. And for the past 22 seasons, he hasn't scored anything less than 24 goals in a particular season, except for one season.
Godspower, you've answered your question.
Oh, I asked the question and answered.
You answered your question.
No, but I'm coming from the standpoint of his age. His age.
See, if age was a problem for Cristiano Ronaldo, he would have retired.
Okay.
But he is a player that he still sees himself as fit. That's something about player. Once you see yourself as fit, age will not be a problem. Just the time if you see the likes of Ribery and Ruben and Iniesta,
yes, they played
to a particular
40
age.
and
then
above, yeah.
Those players, because of Ronaldo and Messi's destiny, they were not able to get there, but we knew them. So Ronaldo is not going to see age as his own limit. 24 goals in the Saudi Pro League is a possible thing for Ronaldo.
For him to do.
I wish, and I know I'm going to see him on that 1,000. And when he gets that 1,000 goals, me and you will sit down here and talk about it.
All right. I mean, we are now a fan of the Saudi Pro League because of Ronaldo. So we'll continue to watch the league, continue to see how he performs in the league this
I was even
season.
surprised to see him come back. I thought he was going to retire after the World Cup.
No. I that didn't even cross my mind.
It crossed my mind at the point.
Really?
Yeah.
Ronaldo retiring after the World Cup? Why?
That was what I thought, because that's his final World Cup, and I was like, will he go back to the Saudi Pro League?
No, I thought, for me, I felt like he was going to retire from the national team, but not club football. Not club football.
But kudos to him.
Yeah,
He's
kudos
a very
to
good
him.
player.
His determination, his hard work is an inspiration to a lot.
We forgot to say
lot of
something. We
people.
forgot to say something.
What was that?
Let's say to our lovers. Congratulations to Cristiano Ronaldo. He's married now to
that's true. That's true. He got married.
He got married to a
recently.
long-time partner who stood by him. That was also one of his inspiration story. We'll still dig that maybe later on. But Georgina Rodriguez, was a very good inspiration to Cristiano Ronaldo's journey. She stayed with him through thick and thin. Congratulations to Cristiano.
Congrats to him. Let's just quickly move away from Cristiano Ronaldo to our final conversation for the day. We will be previewing the Arsenal versus Manchester City game that will be played on Sunday, the Community Shield. This is not the first time we've seen these two teams meet for this particular trophy. They played themselves 2023. Arsenal won that game on penalty 4-1 after a 1-1 draw during the full 120 minutes of play. You saw how they performed last season. Both teams, Arsenal were the Premier League champions. Man City finished.
They won the FA Cup.
They won the FA Cup. They won the EFL Cup. They finished this second or third on the league. I mean, with what you saw from both teams, what would you make of this clash this Sunday?
Honestly, they are both great teams. They have good coach behind them, and when it comes to tactics, gameplay, an interesting match, they give it to us. They know how to entertain the fans when it comes to that kind of.
They had great coaches, because for Manchester City, the coach we now have there, he hasn't proven anything to us yet. So we
I was thinking about Guardiola. You know, Guardiola was a very good thing. Okay, yes, it's true. For me, I see Arsenal winning that game because yes, Arsenal has great signings. They have a coach that's now, with the confidence of him reaching the final in the Champions League and winning the league, he has a very great confidence in himself. And with the good signings of the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and all, is ready to compete. He's ready to take the next season to the next level. But Man City is starting with a new coach. My question is, would that coach now be able to give Man City their first trophy before the.
You know,
before
he
the
has
new
been there. He was the assistant to Pep before leaving to Leicester, performed excellently well, got signed by Chelsea, was performing well. It's not as though Chelsea sacked him. He requested to leave the club because he wanted to replace Pep Guardiola after this season. So he's been excellent. Coaching wise, he's been excellent. So
now the question, my own is: would the team be ready to listen to him? Because for Man City is a great squad. I've seen them; they compete 2 times. Real Madrid has disqualified them from the Champions League,
yes.
But I've seen Pep compete, and honestly, with their new coach, and I don't know. Has Barca made any signing this?
I honestly can't think of any signing they've made so far.
City has done this. So with their recent squad, with their outstanding squad, with the likes of Haaland and Co, and Arsenal. It's going to be a tough game. I'll support Arsenal.
Let's look at the past 2 games these both clubs has played. Arsenal has lost both. They met in the EFA Cup final, lost 2-0. They met sometime in April in the league fixture. They also lost 2-1 to Manchester City. Erling Haaland, the man we are seeing on the screen, this was the goal. This was the goal the last time they met in the Premier League from Erling Haaland. I mean, he's an excellent striker, one that we should have a conversation on someday on the Sport Decks. Yeah.
That was an excellent goal.
Yes. Arsenal has lost their last 2 games against Manchester City. Don't you think history has something to play when they play this Sunday?
It's a community shield. That's like a trophy, and it's something that both teams will want to compete. And
the EFL Cup was also a trophy that both teams wanted to compete, and Arsenal still lost.
During that time, I feel I know that maybe Arsenal were more focused on winning the Champions League.
Okay.
Than winning that FA at that particular.
So they're more focused on the league and the Champions League compared to this competition.
But this is a new season. We can't see. We don't know what to expect. But it's going to be an excellent game for both teams.
Okay, so a quick one before we round things up. Your prediction for this game?
2-1. Arsenal 2, Man City 1.
Arsenal 2, Man City 1. You so much love Arsenal. I don't know why.
No. I see Arsenal with so much potentials.
Okay.
They don't really have much of great talent, but they have potentials.
Okay. Let's see how it goes. For me, I believe Man City is going to be winning this. It's been nice having this conversation with you once again, Stevie. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
It's good to be here.
It's always good to be here.
It's always good to be here.
Always good to be here. And that brings us to the end of today's edition of the Sport Decks. I remain your host, Udokan Godspa. And as always, thank you for spending your morning with us right here on S24 Morning Digest. Do have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
How safe is a female journalist in today's workspace? Every day, female journalists step out to tell stories that matter. They inform the public, question those in power, and give voice to the voiceless. But many women in journalism simply doing their jobs comes with serious risks. The numbers are alarming. A global study by the UNESCO and International Center for Journalists found that 73% of journalists have experienced online violence because of their work. 1 in 4 receive threats of physical violence, 18% receive threats of sexual violence, and 20% receive abuse they experience online, which later turn to real-life attack. Today, female journalists increasingly targeted by cyberbullying, hate speech, coordinated misinformation campaigns, especially those reporting online politics, corruption, election security, or human rights. Another growing concern is the misuse of artificial intelligence, deepfake videos, manipulated images, and AI-generated content, now being used to spread false information, damage reputation, and undermine the credibility of female journalists faster than ever before. The dangers are not limited to the digital world alone. While covering elections, protests, or conflict, even inside the newsroom, some continue to experience discrimination, sexual harassment, unequal opportunities. These experiences have lasting consequences. According to UNESCO, 30% of female journalists said online abuse led them to self-censor, while 26% reported impact of mental health. When journalists begin to silence themselves out of fear, the public lose access to important stories. So what's the solution? Government must enforce laws that protect journalists. Media organizations must create safe, inclusive workspaces. Technology companies must act faster against online abuse. Government must enforce laws that protect journalists. Media organizations must create safe workspace. Technology companies must act fast against online abuse, AI-enabled harassment, and the public must continue to defend press freedom. Because protecting female journalists is not about protecting individuals, it's about protecting the truth. When journalists are safe, democracy is stronger. When they are silenced, society is left in the dark.